Court is now in session. It is Monday, June 9, 2025, 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Commissioners Court is now in session. If you would, please rise for the prayer and the pledge, which I will lead. Good and gracious God, we ask that you send the power of your Holy Spirit to be present with us here today and to fill us with wisdom and understanding, compassion, courage, and help us work for the common good. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Texas.
Oh, Texas. I forgot.
It's a change, but.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Yeehaw!
Now be seated.
Nobody else is into the yeehaw part of it.
That's not in here, First thing I want to remind everyone is to turn these things off or to vibrate so they do not interrupt the proceedings. And with that, the first part of our agenda is always public input, and this is an opportunity for you, the public, to give us your input. We don't get to have output back to you, but we get to listen, which is important. We ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less, that you identify yourself and where you live, or at least where your precinct is, so we know whose commissioner you belong to. And if you want to speak about something that's on the agenda, and we do have one person that's filled out a form that wants to speak on something that's on the agenda, we ask that you wait until that agenda item is called. So with that, we've got a couple of people who've asked to speak that have not designated an agenda item, and the first one is Wesley Gordon.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm the Chief of Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department, and we had a great time last year using the parking lot to sell raffle tickets, meeting all kinds of people, and asking for permission to do it again this year.
We can't give you any input, remember?
Yes.
No
but-
output from us.
Right.
But
but I'm-
we hear you. We
I'm
hear
just
you.
letting you know. See. Thank you.
Okay. And then Kurt Griffin.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name's Kurt Griffin. For you, those that don't know me, I'm the new airport manager. I wanted to come in and just introduce myself so that you guys knew who you were dealing with if you had any questions or issues that need to be worked out there. Looking forward to it. Sorry I missed the budget meeting last week. I didn't know it was there. We'll be submitting our budget to you guys today, and everything looks good in the next year. I do follow Wes's comment. My second item is Assistant Chief and President of the Board of the Hunt Volunteer Fire Department. We again appreciate all your guys' support over the years and look forward to working and supporting you guys as we go along here in the future. So that's it. Thank you much.
Okay, very good. Anyone else want to address the court? Very well, then we'll move on to commissioners' comments. Precinct 1.
I had a great couple of weeks, quite a few meetings, liaison meetings and meetings with engineering, UGRA. We got rain again, a little bit, nothing to brag about, but we're doing well. Grass is growing, having to mow for the first time in a while, which is kind of nice. And we still do not have a burn ban on. I think we're all in agreement on that at this point, so everything's good.
Okay. Precinct 2.
No burn ban in precinct 2. We're very grateful for the rains. Maybe we'll get some more this week. Just want to briefly inform the public. We recently replaced the roof on the indoor arena, or the ag barn. And a couple weeks ago there was a really heavy rain. And the amount of water that flowed into the gutters, and they're brand new gutters, overwhelmed the gutters and kind of backflowed under the roof and got into some of the insulation, which it was hanging down. This is only on the eastern side of the ag barn. And of course, I think we're going to have to start charging the sheriff some parking fees, because that's where he's parking all of his vehicles when they're not in use. But anyway, the point is, Martinez Roofing, who put the new roof on, has been very responsive. They went out, and we pretty well think we know the cause of the problem. The downspouts were a restriction on the flow of water to get it off the roof, and they have doubled the amount of downspouts, and they opened them up so they're a little wider. There was kind of a small opening going into a large downspout, and so that was also a restriction. So hopefully, in the next heavy rain, we won't see any water moving back into the insulation inside the barn. Okay, and they're going to go ahead and repair and replace the insulation that did get wet. And I'm going to have some further comments about the indoor arena project in response to what I consider some misinformation that was relayed in the Special Commissioners Court meeting last Monday. We're talking about the animal control shelter, and there were some attempts to compare that project to the indoor arena. So I hope to shed some light on that, but I'm going to hold those comments until item number 17, item number 17 and 18, which are related to the indoor arena projects. And then, we've already heard from Chief Gordon from Turtle Creek. I think we're going to hear from a couple other fire chiefs later during the budget item, which I think is 1.29 on today's budget. And they just want to better educate the court and the public on ESDs. Not all these ESDs are the same, and they serve different purposes in different departments. So they want to kind of help people to understand that better, and this court in particular. And we might hear from one or two of them where they might want to make an appeal for more than the 5% that Commissioner Harris suggested in our last session. So that's VFDs, and that's later in the agenda. And finally, I just want to inform the court that I will be attending the America 250 Advisory Council meeting Thursday morning to learn more about plans for next year's big 4th of July. Let's see, semi-quincentennial celebration, if I pronounce that right. It's a mouthful. But, they're planning big things next year's 4th of July. So I'm already involved in the Centerpoint plans for that event. So I figured I'll see if I can close the gap, and if nothing else, keep this court. They may or may not want the county's participation, involvement, who knows, but I'll let you know. That's Thursday. That's all for now.
Precinct 3.
Yes, sir. Ban does remain lifted in Precinct 3. Looking forward to 4 or 5 days of rain in there as well. We did have a little bit of rain this last week as well. Thank you all for coming to this special meeting. It was a challenging one. It wasn't easy as we talk about the future of animal control, and we make sure that everyone is informed about that. And, we eventually need to come to a decision on what we need to spend, just so everyone is aware. That wasn't a decision meeting, that was an information meeting. We will get there. Just a reminder, there's a great exhibit over at the Kerrville Arts and Cultural Center across the street still that our history division put together. If you have a chance, maybe today, go see it. It tells the story about a lot of our local people very, very well. I'm proud to see that up. Comfort 590 had a meeting. I know y'all give me a hard time about just as much Comfort as I am in Kerr, but when I asked how many people were from Kerr County at that meeting, 2/3 put their hands up. So they're definitely concerned about the future large development being planned right on 87, which has a discharge rate of water through Kerr County, which is why I'm involved. And I did speak for that. Also, Commissioners Carpenter from Kendall was there, and Commissioner Legion as well, as they really displayed their public concern about that development. So interesting, spoke with a lot of our Kerr County residents afterwards as well. When you're talking 250, both myself and another Marine in the room thought you were going to talk about the Marine Corps Ball.
Go ahead.
It is being planned. I'm a big part of that. We'll ask for coverage later on that, as we have our 250th Marine Corps Ball, and invites will come for all of us for that November 8th. That's it. Thank you.
Very good. Precinct 4.
Hard acts to follow, I'll tell you. Coming up this Friday, Divide Volunteer Fire Department fundraiser, a steak dinner out there at the Divide. That's always a fun deal. They have a large silent auction and a live auction and lots of raffles, and of course it's for a good cause. And since we've touched on fire departments already and ESDs, they do not have an ESD, so they rely a whole lot on what the county's able to give them as well as this fundraiser. So I encourage everybody to try to attend. It's really good. Let me see, I think it starts probably about 5 o'clock, yes, and probably runs to 9 or something like that. That's about it. We all got touched with a little bit of rain, and hopefully the forecast blesses us with some more this week. Speaking of that, checking the Keach-Byram report, drought index this morning, we're as good a shape as far as that index showed since I've been looking at it almost. I mean, it looks great. So that's all I got, Judge.
But that window is just cracked. That's just a little
Oh, I know.
slice.
It can close. It can close quickly,
Take long.
as we all know.
Countywide, I would acknowledge that our auditor, Tanya Sheldon, is not with us today. She's on her way back from Oklahoma City, where the University of Texas women's softball team won the national championship. I like that.
Well, that's a long
I
celebration.
did not like that, but okay.
Well, I understand, but it's just a game. And the other thing that I wanted to make the public and the court aware of is I am in discussion with HR director as well as the county clerk and county attorney about the possibility and also the tax office with regard to the possibility of forming an elections administration office. Something that we're at least talking about, so there'll be probably more news on that in the future. So with that, we move on to the consideration agenda. And the first item is always one of my favorites. This is the presentation regarding the District 10 4-H State Roundup results. Jennifer Smith. There they come.
Good morning. So my name is Jennifer Smith. I am the Kerr 4-H agent. And I agree, Judge, this is also one of my favorite things to do is to bring our youth in and introduce them. And a lot of them you've seen before, but it never ceases to amaze us as to what these youth are capable of and what they do and go out into our community and do. And so what we're here today for, last week, Angela and I had the privilege of taking 19 youth from Kerr County to College Station to participate in the state roundup. A lot of these contests are qualifying contests, so they had to go through the county district process in order to get there, and some of them are invitational. So there are a lot of kids that participate at College Station. They come from all over Texas. So 19 youth from Kerr County represented us in 15 contests, and one of those teams actually qualified for nationals. That's our wool judging team, so they'll be competing at the national level in October. We had 5 teams that came out in the top 5 in the state, and we had 9 youth that placed in the top 10 in their contest. So in addition to that, we had 5 seniors walk the stage for scholarships, and so Kerr County was well represented. And for those that are not familiar with how State Roundup operates, the youth participate in their contest, and then the top 5 teams are announced, but then the top 3 are held and are not given their official placings until that night at assembly. And so they are left for the next few hours not knowing if they got first, second, or third. So then they walk the stage in front of all the other kids that are there at the assembly, and it is a big deal. We're in Reed Arena, if anybody's familiar with College Station, and so there are a lot of people watching, and it is a prideful moment. And so if anybody is ever interested in that, the assemblies are on YouTube, and so you can watch them, and it is wonderful. It gives you goosebumps to see these kids and what they've achieved. So we have some of them here with us today. It's not surprising, but a lot of them are already off onto bigger and better things as far as adventures go. We have one that's in Stephenville because he's an equine ambassador for 4-H. We have one that's actually representing FFA in Washington right now. So they are one thing right after the other. So a lot of them hit planes and hit vehicles going to other places. So we do have a few of them here today, and we would like to introduce themselves and tell them how they did.
So, us three and one other girl, Francie, this is Maddie Hall, Ella Robbins, and I'm Renly Fiddler, and then Francie Lockwood, she was also on our team. But we did food challenge, and we went and we got second in the preliminary round, so we didn't move on to the finals, but we made a pretty awesome dish. We made filled strawberries Devonshire, and we gave an excellent presentation, but we didn't quite make it. But we still did great.
They got second in their heat, in their division, but to move on to the finals, they had to win first. So they still did very well.
I'm Ella Robbins, and additionally from competing in Food Challenge, I also competed in the educational presentation. I competed in the health and wellness category, and I gave a presentation on the benefits of raising a guide dog and how that benefits you, your community, and the blind handler. I got 5th individual.
I'm Madeline Hall, and I also competed in the talent showcase in the band solo category with my brothers Jonathan and Samuel. We don't know. They only announced top 5.
Hi, my name is Callie Weiser. I competed in wool and mohair. In wool, we got 3rd place team, and I got 11th individual, so we were going to nationals in wool. And then in mohair, we got champion team, and I got 14th place.
Hi, my name is Leah Nelson, and both of us competed with 2 other individuals in Plan ID. We placed 2nd in the team.
And then I got 10th place individual. And then my sister, who's not here, she's at Junction at a camp, she got 4th place individual, so we were very proud of her.
And then I also competed in range ID evaluation, and I didn't place individually, but my team, concluding Peter Lockwood, her sister Addison Weiser, and then me, Leah Nelson, we placed 3rd as a team.
And this was Leah's first year to state roundup, so we're happy she made that mistake.
My name's Leland Fiddler, and I participated in the Consumer Decision Making Contest, and I also walked the stage for the McLean 4-H Scholarship.
Hi, my name is Samuel Hall. For the first day I competed was robotics. We don't know how we placed on that. I'm assuming probably the top 10. Then the second day I did instrumental with my piano music, and I got 3rd out of the entire state with that. And then the last day I did band solo with my sister Madeline and then Jonathan, and we don't know how we placed for that. But I also walked the stage for my scholarship for Tilson Homes.
That's all that we have with us today. Do you mind if we do a photo?
No,
Let's do it.
bring them in. Bring them in.
We'll be able to get our
We're gonna stand behind it.
We'll just stand behind you. Samuel, we'll get you in the middle.
Over there in the corner.
That one
you in the picture.
Paper off each side. Yeah. Look, squeeze in. There you go. Very good.
Enjoy the rest of your summer.
On to the next.
Should bring some of that strawberry dessert and give a presentation here to the court. And we'd have been happy to volunteer to sample it.
The next time item at 9 o'clock is item 1.2. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on a request from the Adult Protective Services Program to approve a proclamation declaring June 2025 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Is anyone here for that?
Can I get up and say a couple?
Yeah, please.
Please do.
Good morning, Your Honor and Commissioners Court. Thank you all very much for declaring June a proclamation for elder abuse. Here in Kerrville, there's 19,000 elder adults, and 3,775 of those were actually with disabilities or impairments. What we do with Adult Protective Services is we want to make sure that the community is safe, the elder community, and we're the protection source for them. So we do a lot more than just place people in nursing homes. We get a bad rap. We provide services for the elders, that means, buying some groceries, helping with the bill. And along here with me are two of the workers here that cover Kerrville, which is Susan Salinas in the front and Mark Beards over there in the front as well. We have another worker in Kerrville named Julia Walston, but she is currently off today. And my name is Rolando Lerma. I'm the supervisor, so I come all the way from Eagle Pass, Texas. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's a small courtroom, just like an Eagle Pass, so I feel real at home. And like I said, we thank everybody here for what you all do, but one of the things that you all can do, and we'll leave some cards with the judge and the commissioner, is call in cases. We had 396 cases called in 2024, which is a lot of intakes for Kerr County. It's probably the most intakes we get in a single county, but we would like more intakes because we want to try to offer the services that the state has acclimated for the elders here in Kerr County. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve declaring June of this year, 2025, as Elder Abuse Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. You mind if we get a picture of this?
No, that's fine. It's good, good. I'm gonna stand right here in front. Put the big guy in the middle.
No.
Can I want to?
You're fine.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
One
Oh,
thank you.
I'm not following direction. I was watching.
Trying to get all yellow in.
First time then.
Okay. 1, 2. Got it. Thank you.
First for everything.
Judge, can we excuse ourselves, Judge? Okay, thank you all very much.
Thanks for driving up. Long trip.
The next item on the agenda is item 1.3. It's a presentation regarding the Department of State Health Services Region 8 Annual Report. Ms. Cavanis?
Nothing like being nervous and then dropping everything. Good morning, Your Honor and Commissioners. My name is Stacy Cavanis. I'm the public health nurse for the Kerrville office in Gillespie County for the Texas Department of State Health Services. I work over at the Shriner Building on Water Street with my coworker Michelle Morgan, who is the public health prevention specialist and the community health worker. My work for the Community Health Improvement Division of Public Health Region 8, which covers 28 counties across South Central Texas. Region 8, our field office is in the Shriner 1, I already said that, Shriner 1 building on Water Street. Sorry. Our regional directors from headquarters in San Antonio are unable to join us today, but are available to return any responses to questions. The regional medical director is Dr. Lillian Ringsdorf, and the deputy regional director is Gail Morrow. Today I do have my supervisor for the Community Health Improvement team here. Her name is Bridget Waller. We provided copies of the 2025 Public Health Region 8 and the Kerr County Annual Reports. Did you guys have a copy of those? I brought
Yes.
more.
Yes.
Okay. We appreciate the opportunity to briefly share some of what we do. Within the annual report are programs available through Region 8, along with the department managers' names and their contact information. Please feel free to reach out to us if you ever have a public health question or concern. Our 24-hour line at the San Antonio HQ is also available for questions or reportable cases as well. The Kerr County report highlights some of our local activities. That would be this paper here. We had 138 newly reported STDs, 2 residents exposed to tuberculosis, 79 foodborne illnesses, 10 vaccine preventable diseases, and 14 rabies-positive animals. 907 vaccines were given at the office.
What kind of vaccines, if you don't mind me asking?
So we give the back-to-school vaccines, and they are provided to infants, children, and adults that are either no insurance or Medicaid, and I don't know. Okay, sorry, that caught me off guard. So we have 53 inspections completed, and 15 residents given social services. We also provide health and safety information to the schools, local daycares, and other community organizations on topics such as hyperthermia, injury prevention, dental hygiene, nutrition, breastfeeding, safe sleep, mental health, and ATV safety, sun and water safety, and vaping prevention. We are working with the library to bring different topics of health education story times to the families of Kerrville, poison control, teaching on safety day to children from multiple schools in our area, hand watching teaching to the early child care center to teachers and students. We do safe sleep classes throughout the year and yearly to child care providers in the area. We just had one recently with an attendance of 84 people. We're working on we're developing a relationship with Hill Country Youth Ranch to teach kids about nutrition and growing produce. And we also offer multiple other community education classes. Our county includes a sanitarian who performs inspections on food establishment, including school cafeterias and restaurant, and they've included his name and number at the bottom of this report this year. At our local Kerrville clinic, we assist Region 8 programs, including epidemiology, tuberculosis, STD, and emergency preparedness. We administer the routine vaccines to the qualifying infants, children, and adults, and offer car seat checks and installation education to families in the community, as well as multiple public car seat events throughout the year. We assist in leading the child fatality review team for the surrounding 4 counties to determine prevention and educational and legislative improvements. The goal of Community Health Improvement Team is to improve the health and well-being of Texas families by focusing on prevention and increasing access to health care through community collaboration. To achieve this, we partner with other agencies, including our Wesley nurses, AgriLife, our local library, Texas Children and Nature Network, school nurses, and Methodist and Peterson hospitals. We appreciate the opportunity to share this public health report with you. Thank you, Your Honor and Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I congratulate you on an excellent report. I went through the fancy color version over the weekend. How does the average interested citizen get a copy of it? Do you have a website you can refer them to if they want to see what's in your report?
Yes, and I have some I can probably leave around. I can order more and leave them here or at the libraries.
I think probably the most effective way to get it out is just to give a website or some kind of a link where they can find a good version of this thing. Like I say, it's a good report. I enjoyed reading through it. My next question for you is, okay, what do you consider to be the greatest public health concern in Kerr County?
To me, the greatest health concern in Kerr County is actually just getting community engagement and trying to get, gosh, I love questions, but just trying to get the information out to people, like you said, and trying to get involvement. And I think this is just my own personal thing. I think just learning how all the car seats that I check are always in wrong. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but my children, now that I'm a car seat safety technician, are lucky to be alive when I look back at how I installed a car seat. Sure. And so when I do these events, I realize how many people also have them wrong. So I would like, my goal this year is to hold some more public events, hopefully, and get the community more involved, and hopefully teach them that they're just like me, and we all do it wrong, so.
Okay, well, good luck with the community engagement. I like the article about vaping and trying to discourage folks from, young people from doing that. And then, of course, in this environment with the large elderly population, the stuff about keeping Medicaid doctors and dentists on board is probably important to a lot of people.
Right.
So I encourage your efforts.
Yes.
It looks like the website's back at the bottom.
Is it?
It's dshs.texas.gov/region 8.
Thank you. You're too small for me to.
Very good.
I've got an easier question. You've got on
Sure.
here, you had 2 residents exposed to tuberculosis, not confirmed though, right? No confirmed cases of
No,
TB.
they're just exposed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me quickly call the next item, 1.4, which is a presentation of the 2024 Excellence in Safety Achievement Award from the Texas Association of Counties. Ms. Blankenship?
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. How are y'all this morning?
Good.
My name is Sharon Blankenship. I'm the Human Resources Consultant with the Texas Association of Counties. Each year, the TAC Risk Management Pool accepts applications for the Excellence in Safety Award that is presented at our annual County Management and Risk Conference. To be eligible for the award, they must meet the following criteria. Meet requirements for Safety Achievement Award, which are to be a member of the Workers' Comp Program through the award year and the next year, and have a safety program in place as well as required safety policies. In addition, they must have an annual loss ratio of 60% or less, have an active safety committee that has documented meetings no less than twice per year that include meeting agendas indicating topics addressed. Committee documentation may include meeting sign-in sheets, agendas, commissioners' court reports, and any other documentation supporting the existence of an active safety committee. Provide core training topics that should be presented at least once per year and documented with staff sign-in sheets. These core training topics reflect the minimum training necessary for an excellent safety program. Members seeking to apply for the Excellence in Safety Award must present at least 5 of the 12 topics to qualify for the award. Topics like slips, trips, and falls, driver safety, personal protective equipment, office safety, ergonomics, shop tool safety. We also have risk control consultants that can provide assistance with these items and can also verify the above criteria have been met. Members may request a risk control review. On behalf of the TAC Risk Management Pool, it is my honor to present this Excellence in Safety Award to Kerr County for 2024. I hope to see you in 2026 at the County Management Risk Conference. It will be held at the Kalahari Resort in Round Rock on March 31st through April 2nd. We do reimburse up to 2 members of the county that attend that conference, so we'll reimburse your hotel stay, any mileage, et cetera. And if you are receiving an award, we also will reimburse 1 person for that as well. Also want to remind you that we have an upcoming workshop with our region team, the risk pool team, and also our health employee benefits team, and that's going to be next week on June the 17th. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and come up if possible and take a picture.
Sure. Okay. This, I'll shake your hand.
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Judge, we're gonna have to hire a structural engineer to re-evaluate this wall, because there's too many of those on it.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Put it on Charlie's plate, he's in
Okay, what we're gonna do now, Reagan, I'm gonna pass over your item, one more at a timed item at 9:30. We're running just a little late. It's item 1.6. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve updated job title and description for an office manager position in the 216th District Attorney's Office and set the position at grade 25. Ms. Wilkie.
Yes, good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Did all of you receive a copy of the updated job description?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This position carries a lot of responsibility, including the budget and other important decisions are made by this position, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's really kind of a one-of-a-kind position.
It really is. It's very, very helpful to me.
But it's a new position.
It's not a new position.
not?
It's
Okay.
a
So you're just upgrading.
a
Changing
new
grade.
person coming back to this position, and it was a very old, outdated job description.
I see. Good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the job title and description of the office manager position in the 216th District Court and set the position at grade 25. Any discussion? Questions? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry you had to wait. Item 1.5, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept donations to the Kerr County Animal Services totaling $40 for the month of May. Reagan Gibbons.
Good morning. You'll see on here, this is our May donations, a $25 cash donation and a $15 check.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve accepting the donations to the Kerr County Animal Services as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.7, consider, discuss, and discuss update on matters related to the Hill Country Energy Sub-Regional Planning Commission. Mr. Paces.
Okay, well, our 391 Hill Country Energy Sub-Regional Planning Commission met on June 3rd in the Kendall County Courthouse. The entire meeting was recorded via Microsoft Teams, and it is available on our website. Minutes from the May 20th meeting were approved and are available on the website. During the meeting, one of the key things, we discussed the need to take our case to the public. You know, we're having difficulty getting Public Utilities Commission and LCRA to attend one of our coordination meetings and hear our concerns. So it's time to kind of step up our game and take it to the public. And we're going to, in our next meeting, we'll try to lay out a little bit more details. But interestingly enough,
Rich, have you reached out to Mike Allen? Because I know he was
Yes.
LCR rep and
Commissioner Holt has. I haven't, but we would love to have anyone from LCRA come and
I know he
attend a
supports
meeting.
these things
Yes, sir.
the best.
I appreciate it. Well, again, the invitation's been out there for LCRA for several months, since February, I think, and they seem to want to refuse and think they're not a state agency. We have a different interpretation. We believe they are. And again, I invite them to come to our next meeting or set a date, and we'll have a special meeting
Okay.
per their schedule. Okay, but back to the public engagement. So, kind of out of the blue, I had an email request from an individual that's part of the Ingram Oaks Homeowners Association, and they invited me to speak to their group on, this is last Thursday, which I accepted readily, and about 25 of their members showed up. I think the meeting lasted close to an hour and a half, about an hour and 20 minutes, but they were highly engaged, they were interested, asked some great questions, and of course my hope that the outcome from doing this is we get some of those individuals engaged and they are willing to make phone calls and write letters, because that's what it's going to take. This is going to be a long slog to try to see real progress on this issue. In fact, I also had a request from the Rotary Club, and there's no details on that yet, but I'd be happy to speak at that if they would like that. Or possibly Commissioner Holt would do the same. Anyway, I also made a call to my friends with the Hill Country Patriot Radio program, so I was on the Bill and Allison Mincaro show Saturday morning, and they gave me about 45 minutes to talk about battery energy storage system issues, and frankly, some of my comments were intended to shame LCRA and Public Utilities Commission because they're avoiding the issue. I mean, what do you got to hide? Come out and talk to us about it, understand our concerns. Okay, so, and hopefully I'll get a video or audio clip of that, and I'll circulate it, probably put it on our website. And we're not ready to formally ask the court, but if it works out that that's the path we want to go, but we'll probably try to organize some kind of a large town hall meeting specifically on battery energy storage system, and bring in some experts and again, give some presentations, get the public engaged. I think that's what it's going to take. Phone calls to legislators, to the governor, to the president, you know, whatever. We've got to shed a lot more light on this issue. Okay. Let's see, in our last meeting, a list of the battery energy storage system related bills that were passed in the recent legislative session. That they were discussed, they're posted on our website. Several got through and have been sent to the governor's desk for signature. Nothing earth-shattering, to be honest. We're not seeing any game changers yet. There were some good bills that were considered, but they never made it out of the appropriate committee in the House or the Senate. Not for real change. And of course, our own West Riddell's bill didn't make it. He came up with a bill to have an offset of 500 yards from the adjacent property lines, which was a good concept. You know, it doesn't address nearly all of the concerns, but step in the right direction. Anyway, that didn't make it either. Okay, but one good thing that our representative did do is he made a call to Public Utilities Commission and put some pressure on them to meet with us. So I am hopeful that we'll hear from Public Utilities Commission. Haven't yet, and it may take another phone call from Representative Verdell, but let's see. Also, I received a call from Gillespie County Commissioner Keith Kramer. Commissioner Holt and I had met with along with the county judge and the county attorney and another activist person, citizen. Anyway, they have expressed interest in joining our 391 commission. So he asked me for copies of our interlocal agreement with Kendall and for a copy of the bylaws, which I'm happy to share with anybody. In fact, they're available on our website anyway. So we'll see where that goes. If they want to join, that'll obviously have to come back to this court and the Kendall County Court. And it would require an amendment to those documents. Okay, in closing, our next meeting currently is scheduled for Tuesday, July 8th. That would be here in the Kerr County Courthouse at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Unless we get a request or a suggestion to meet with LCRA or Public Utilities Commission, in which case we would do our best to accommodate their suggested time and date. So otherwise, it'll be July 8th right here. That's it. Any questions?
I thought it was Monday the 7th at 1.
I think it was Tuesday.
Let me double check.
She might be right. I haven't seen the minutes from that meeting, so I'm relying on my recollection.
Well, that's dangerous.
It is. I didn't put it in my calendar yet. Well, we'll clarify that and have information. Of course, the meeting notice and the agenda will, as always, be posted on our website, which is www.hcesrpc.com. Did you find it?
I don't have it on my
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You might be right.
We'll post it.
TBD.
Yes, sir.
Very well. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is consider, discuss, take appropriate action to accept the annual financial reports for fiscal years ending September 30, 2023 and September 30, 2024 for the Kerr County Emergency Services District Number 3. Commissioner Paces.
Well, this is the first financial report that's been submitted by ESD number 3. I've been through it. It looks good to me, so I'll make a motion that this court approve the ESD 3 annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, and for the annual report for September 30th, 2024.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the annual financial report ESD number 3 is presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.9, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept the annual financial report for fiscal year ending September 30, 2024 for the Kerr County Emergency Services District number 1. Commissioner Harris.
Yes, Judge, does the same thing as the ESD number 3. It's just kind of a every year deal that we have to do, and they got it in very timely, and it looks good, and so I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the ESD number 1 annual financial report as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Moving on, next item is 1.10. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to address the possibility of prohibiting or restricting the sale of or use of restricted fireworks, i.e. skyrockets with sticks and missiles with fins, in any portion of the unincorporated area of Kerr County pursuant to the local government code for the 4th of July fireworks season. This is just routine?
Yeah, I see no need to do that. I mentioned the Keach-Byram drought index earlier. We're under 400. It goes from 0 to 800, with 800 being severe drought, 0 no moisture depletion, and we're right under 400, so we're in good shape.
Okay, so no action to be taken.
Would
I
we
wouldn't
have
say.
the opportunity to discuss it again on the 23rd, or is that too late? You have to get it out today?
It has to be 30 days in advance.
30 days?
Yeah, it's in your backup, there's a, I wanna say like June 13th might be the last day.
Right.
Well,
We're all nervous that it's gonna be
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I don't like it,
But we're going into it as
This-
good a shape as we ever have.
It's still June.
I know.
It's not August. We know what August is
Yeah.
gonna be like.
But this is July 4th, so we're not getting into August.
Okay. Moving on to the next item, 1.11, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to appoint members to the Selection Review Committee to review and rate proposals for the request for qualifications for the rainwater catchment system at the Kerr County Animal Control Facility. Mr. Holt.
Yes, sir. We did discuss this previously, the rainwater catchment system. For this, it's a requirement to have, it's not a requirement, it is a grant that we are going for UGRA to have 2 different containers on each side of the building to catch rainwater off the gutters. In order to continue with that, we do need to have committee members. I think it's appropriate to have at least 3 on that committee in order to do this correctly, which is a request for proposal to get different bids for someone to conduct it. It's one thing getting the money, it's another thing to actually get the bids together. With each of the different water storage tanks on either side of the building as designed, there's also going to be a pump. Part of the building requirement for the building is to have electrical to each of the pumps. One pump will, and one storage tank will feed the kennels for cleanliness, so it's a constant water source. The other is going to be used for irrigation in the future. So just want to make sure everyone understands what we're going to be bidding for. And I do think it's appropriate for myself and to have an engineer, Charlie Hastings, and to have one other as a part of that committee to review and rate proposals for that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I got a call this last week, somebody wanting to know when the window is for the bid process.
It's in the RFP, but I'm pretty sure bids are due on the 20th.
They're due on the 20th.
Yeah, to be open.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to remember the
They're
date, 20th.
The 20th of
June
June.
20th, yeah.
Okay.
But it is on the website as well.
Okay.
So this agenda item is to appoint a
The
selection
committee
review committee?
The committee.
And you would recommend you and Charlie Hastings and a third person?
Yes.
I would recommend Noelle Putnam. She has been very helpful in all the other things that she's been involved with when it comes to reviewing bids and selecting the most qualified. So if she's available, then that's my recommendation.
So that's the motion?
I guess it is.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second? To select Commissioner Holt, County Engineer Charlie Hastings, and Noah Putnam, our grant coordinator, to be the selection review committee for the rainwater catchment system for the animal control facility. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you. With that, let's take a short break and come back at 10 o'clock. We'll come back to order. The next item is timed at 10 o'clock, 1.12. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to open, read aloud, and receive bids for the Kerr County request for proposal for construction services for the replacement of 7 HVAC systems project, reference RFP HVAC 2025, and refer bids to the Selection Review Committee for evaluation and award recommendations for, at the June 23, 2025 Commissioners Court meeting. Ms. Putnam.
Commissioner Harris, I believe, we received one bid.
That's it?
And he is opening that.
All right, we have one bid from Airtech, AC heating proposal. The cost proposal, which includes all labor, equipment, materials, permits, and disposal as outlined, is at $99,500.
And my recollection shows, I think we had 70 budgeted, 70,000 budgeted. Is
Yes,
that-
sir. Initially, when we got the initial quotes to do this was in, what, December? 2023? So inflation has increased quite a bit, and I was speaking with Shane earlier. We did add for inflation. This would be our year one of the 5-year maintenance plan. He did include a 4 or 4.5% interest rate in the consecutive years, which interest rates are higher than that right now. So we were kind of anticipating for these to be over budget, but did not really know what to expect. But we can take it to the Selection Review Committee to review it and bring forth a recommendation to the court to see if it is something that is acceptable, or if we want to go out for rebid or whatever.
All right, that probably seems like the best thing to do with it.
So do we have a motion to refer this to the Selection Review Committee for report back to the court?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time item is 10 o'clock, 1.13. It's a public hearing to adopt street naming policy. I convene the public hearing to order. Is there anyone who would like to address the court? There being none, I will adjourn the meeting and we'll move on to item 1.14, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to adopt a street naming policy. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Texas Transportation Code, Section 251.013 authorizes the Commissioners Court of Accounting to adopt uniform standards for naming public roads located wholly or partly in unincorporated areas of the county, and for assigning address numbers to property located in unincorporated areas of the county. The Local Government Code 232.101 authorizes the Commissioners Court of Accounting to adopt an order that promotes the health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the county and the safe, orderly, and healthful development of the unincorporated area of the county. Texas Transportation Code 544.006 prohibits a person from placing, maintaining, or displaying on or in view of a highway an unauthorized sign, signal, marking, or device that imitates or resembles an official traffic control device or attempts to direct the movement of traffic. In addition to adopting the attached road naming and addressing guidelines as prepared by Kerr 911 Emergency Network, it is recommended that the court adopt a policy for naming streets for developments that are exempt from platting, where the owner does not utilize the platting process and is naming private roads located wholly or partly in an unincorporated area of the county. Said policy is listed below, and it's in the attached court order. The policy consists of the owner shall apply for street naming and addressing through Kerr 911, utilizing forms and procedures supplied by Kerr 911. Kerr 911 shall provide to the Kerr County Road and Bridge and Engineering Departments a copy of the street naming application with a recommendation for approval, denial of the proposed street names. The owner shall submit a voluntary pre-development plan. You're going to see one of those later today on the agenda. So in case you're wondering what that is, to the Office of the County Engineer in accordance with Section 6.02 of the Subdivision and Manufactured Home Rental Community Regulations. The Kerr County Engineering Department shall ensure that driveway permitting and the Kerr County Flood Damage Prevention Court Order are being followed by the owner prior to providing an approval letter to the Kerr County Road and Bridge Department. And ultimately, the Kerr County Commissioners Court may consider approval of the Kerr 911 recommended a proposed street name, subject to receiving an approval letter from the Kerr County Engineering Department through the Road and Bridge Department. That's the process. We've vetted this publicly now. We just had a public hearing. Nobody spoke. This has been available for the public to look at, comment on. We have vetted this also through Wellborn Engineering as well as Kerr 911. And the county engineer and the Road and Bridge Department. The county engineer recommends that the court adopt the street naming policy as presented.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the street naming policy as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions?
Yeah, Charlie, is this, a lot of this come into play because of the folks that are exempt from plating now?
Yes, sir. Yep. Roads going in, they're not named. They can't, they buy a lot, they can't move a house out there because it doesn't have a name or an address. It's causing a lot of confusion and problems. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. We also have developments that are going in that our flood damage prevention court order requires them to do a flood study if it's not ever been studied. And so they're selling lots to people that have unstudied floodplain and nobody knows exactly where it is or how high, and that's a no-no. And so this is a way to catch it.
Right, okay.
That's a recipe for litigation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great policy. Glad to see it.
When we used to plat everything, it wasn't a problem, but as soon as the gates got opened on platting,
Right.
this became an issue.
But all
Did you
those
have to
other
start
things.
from
that-
scratch on that, or do you have any help with the policy from like other counties? Like, I
Other
assume we're not
counties,
the only
Comal
one.
County had a good one. Kerr 911
Right.
directed us to what some other counties were doing. They were very helpful. Kelly Hoffer is a research genius. She's brought forth lots of things. And so it just, we collaborated and put it together, and we have something that seems to fit us very well.
And I assume Mark Del Toro and Nick are on board with this.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty straightforward and simple to follow too, so, I mean, I like the policy. I thank you for your efforts.
The other thing is that right now, Kerr 911 has a moratorium on street naming until this
Right.
policy gets
Exactly.
approved.
Sure.
So,
We
and
gotta do
there's some
something.
people waiting in queue
Yeah.
for this.
And that's the most important reason for doing this is deployment of the emergency services so they go to the right place.
That's right.
Well, and in one case, you've got a guy that's being held up, right, on getting.
That's
any-
right.
Yeah,
Up in the Mountain Home area, yep, you
Right.
can't do anything. That's right.
Right.
Pretty frustrated.
Okay, do we raise our hands?
We have a motion and a second to adopt the street naming policy as presented. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand.
you gotta wait.
Unanimous, thank you. Item 115, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to increase the material and utility testing budget from $33,932 to $41,082, and authorize the county judge to execute a change order with UES Professional Services 44 LLC in the amount of $17,950 to perform construction materials testing and related quality control services for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility through the construction completion.
Attaches Kerr County Auditor's May 29th, 2025 multi-year animal control shelter summary of revenues and expenditures. This accounts for the project as a whole since inception, as well as adjusting for changes in the revenues due to bond interest accruals, which seem to be happening every day. And allow formal reports from the county engineer, since the county engineer was directed to help manage the project starting in February 2025, did not take this into account. I didn't take into account that the fund is actually changing every day and going up because of the interest. Reports from this point forward will, so that we know what's going on. I said all that because some folks may want to call me out today and say, you said we had $50,000 to play with and that we've already done some change orders and now we only have about 17. Well, the interest accrual has changed that. Now you have $60,000. So it has been replenished. Also attached is a change order from UES, formerly Rock Engineering, to perform construction materials testing and related quality control services for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility through construction completion. The court budgeted $33,392 for material and utility testing with 3,392 of that, it was previously spent on a geotechnical report needed for design. This was before bidding. So these numbers are different from what we've talked about before because I'm doing this holistically since inception. It just helps things to be more clear. Once construction started and we entered into a contract with UES where their original proposed estimate for testing was $19,200 with a clause that a final estimate would be prepared once a construction schedule was submitted. Y'all recall that when I saw that number, I said, that's not going to be enough for this project. Budget 30, and you budgeted 30. Well, now we have a final number, and we need more than 30. We need $37,150. So, said final construction schedule was submitted in April of 2025, allowing UES to finalize their estimate and identify additional testing in the amount of $17,950 plus the $19,200 previous. The total is $37,150, which is $7,150 over the court budgeted amount for material and utility testing. County engineer requests. Let me go back just a little bit. With the addition of the accrued bond interest through May 29th, and I know it's different already today, but the report I have is May 29th. The current fund balance is $60,093. That's what you have to work with today. I'm asking for $7,150. The county engineer requests the court increase the material and utility testing budget from $33,392 to $41,082 and authorize the county judge to execute a change order with UES Professional Services 44 LLC in the amount of $17,950 to perform construction materials testing and related quality control services for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility through construction completion. Precinct 2.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the increase in the material and utility testing budget from $33,932 to $41,082 and authorize the county judge to execute a change order with UES Professional Services in the amount of $17,950. That is the motion. Any discussion? Any questions? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Okay, it is 10:15. We have a timed item, so I'm going to move down to item number 1.20. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to accept the quarterly report from the Veteran Services Advisory Committee. Gary Nolan.
Thank you. I'm Gary Noller, 140 Ray Drive, Center Point, Texas, Precinct 3. Once again, I'd like to thank the commissioners for their support that they showed to the Veterans County Service Office. I think I may have said this last time, I don't remember, but I think that the counties Gillespie, Kerr, and Bandera are in the best shape that I've ever seen them with regard to having fully trained and accredited claims Veterans County Service officers. And that's a credit to you as a board for making sure that Kerr County does what they really should be doing. And we appreciate that very much. Jenna has provided us with monthly reports on performance. And we do take a look at that, and I'm not going to go into what the numbers say this time, but one of the things need to keep note of, and Chase mentioned this the other day when we were in a meeting, is that we're always getting new people showing up and wanting us to help. And some of these people are my age. So I was in the Army 19 months, but I've been a veteran for 55 years. So why would somebody go in to look at their veterans benefits after they've been out of the military for that length of time? And a lot of it's got to do with changing situations. There's no end point to where a veteran can file a claim with the VA for certain benefits, particularly benefits related to their health or disabilities. And the case is that when a veteran got out of the military, they may have not had issues But as they get older, you start having issues. And if you can tie a current illness to something that happened to you while you were in the military service caused you to be in a certain shape that you are today, then you can file a claim and you can get a successful award. Now, they don't go back 55 years and pay you for 55 years. They only go back to the day you file your claim. But I've recently talked to two veterans who just came up to me out of the blue and said, I've recently got a claim approved. I never thought I had anything out there that I needed to address. One of them specifically mentioned Jenna and the work that she did. And this veteran was quite pleased and surprised that Jenna was able to go through his records, his medical records and his service records, and pick out things that could be used as evidence to show cause for why that veteran was having certain health issues today. So I certainly appreciate the support from the commissioners and the community for Kerr County having two really good Veterans County Service officers. We just got done with Memorial Day, and Memorial Day was good last year, but it was even better this year. Jenna and Chase went out and they looked for ways that they could make improvements to make it a better ceremony. One of the things that they did that everybody noticed was they went out and got a pair of military combat boots, one each for the names that are shown on the Kerr County Veterans Memorial. And I think it's 89 or 90? 88? 89. And that's a very graphic display. The names themselves are a very good display. It's hard to ignore what you're looking at when you see 89 names. And the boots also help bring home that once upon a time somebody was in those boots, and they need to be remembered. Also this year there was 2 new names added to the monument. There is a criteria, a recommended criteria for names going on the wall. It necessarily has to have some flexibility to it. When the update was done 10 years ago, I think there was 3 names added and 2 more were put on because somebody came forward and said, we think these veterans should be recognized, and they fit. From the time that Jenna received notice on that until the time that names were put on the wall, I don't know if that took 3 months. All I know is Jenna didn't waste time. She didn't sit on her hands and say, well, yeah, somebody else ought to work on this. So we're very happy that that got done, and it looks very nice. It was done about the week before Memorial Day. I also want to recognize Shane and his crew for the work that they do to set up Memorial Day. Every year it seems like they get something else to do, and one of the things they get to do every year is put more chairs out. And we thought it was 100, do 150. You do 150, you think it's 200. And if you was here, you noticed about half the people had a place to sit, and the other half the people stood. And so Shane's going to probably have to bring another 50 chairs next year. And the other thing they did this year is an improvement. They set up some little shelter tents to try to get people out of the sun. And that was very helpful, but Jenna did a pretty good job and made it a little cooler year this year than it was last year, so we didn't have to suffer through that.
Don't forget the water.
Yeah. And good news from the federal government is that their claims backlog is being worked down. It's, you know, the VA says a claim is in backlog if it's over 125 days, and at one point after the PACT Act was passed in August of 22, the backlog claims was up around 650,000, and now it's getting back down to around 200,000, and everybody that's a politician is going to take credit for that. But there are a lot of happy veterans out there to know that after they wait long enough, they finally get the word on their claims. With related to that, I just want to finish up here with some words on something that's going on. The federal government, through the Department of Veterans Affairs, establishes accredited veteran service officers. That's, I think, in CFR 38. And basically it says that veteran service officers can get accredited from the VA, and then they can get power of attorney. It's a limited power of attorney to work for the veteran. In other words, that service officer can stand in front for that veteran. They can get their medical records, they can get the military service records, they can answer questions to the VA, they can call the VA up and say, hey, what's going on? And part of that regulation says that accredited VA services officers cannot receive a fee from the veteran for doing this. So accredited service officers are employees of the state of Texas. They could be employees of the counties of the state of Texas. They could be employed by veteran service organizations such as American Legion, the VFW, AMVETS, Disabled American Veterans. But the law is not enforced, and so we have a situation where there's veterans that go out and start their own for-profit business and get other veterans to come in and they'll file their claims for them, and they'll take a fee. And the fee is probably something like half of your first year's benefit. And like I said, the law's not enforced. So there's one proposal out there, it's called the GUARD Act, and I had to write this down because I couldn't remember it. Governing unaccredited representatives defrauding Veterans Affairs benefits. That's what the GUARD Act stands for. And that basically is trying to put some teeth into the law that says these for-profit individuals cannot do this. In other words, if you do it, we're going to throw you in jail. Well, if you do that, we're going to prosecute you and probably fine you. And that's been out there since 2023. And this is a Senate bill, and there's 55 senators that have co-sponsored that. Most of them are Democrats, but there are some Republicans, and one of them that signed on was J.D. Vance, who's a Republican, was senator from Ohio, happens to be vice president right now, and he's a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Neither of the Texas senators have signed on to this bill. And then they just came out here with a competing bill, which is called the Choice Act for Veterans 2025. This is in the House of Representatives. And it establishes the fact that the United States government needs to allow for-profit claims representatives. It's got 15 co-sponsors. All of them happen to be Republicans, of which our local representative isn't one of them. I'm not quite sure why this stuff all sorts out under partisan politics. I could guess, but I'm not going to say. But I think the members of the Veteran Service Advisory Committee, we don't like these for-profits out there. And I just want to end up giving you a little, here's an example. Let's say that Chase and Jenna don't get paid by the county on a fixed salary, that they can go out and they can earn their salary through taking a commission. So Chase and Jenna get together and say, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask all these veterans to come in and tell us what they think they need in the way of help, what kind of claims we can file. But what we're going to do is we're only going to submit claims if we think that there's a 50% chance or better of them being approved. And we're only going to submit claims if we think that it's going to be a 40% or better award, which 40% is $1,500 or something like that. So they basically cherry pick. And so if you don't look like you've got a claim that's got much of a chance of being approved or very much money, we're just going to toss it aside. So I ask the question, well, then where does that veteran go? And I haven't looked that closely at the legislation, but what the for-profit claims representatives do right now is they want a percentage. And there can be some very easy claims. Let's say 100% claim for a Vietnam veteran with prostate cancer that's ready to die gets $40,000 a year. It takes 1 hour to fill that claim out, and the claims rep wants $20,000 for 1 hour of filling a claim out. And I'll say, well, they say, well, give the veteran the choice. If he wants to pay $20,000, they can pay $20,000. I said, well, now what we need to do is make sure that veteran knows that they can go to a source, such as a county service officer, and get that same work done and not pay that much money for it. So we're going to monitor this and hope that our Texas representatives, our Texas people in the Senate and Congress do the right thing on behalf of veterans. And if you ever have the opportunity to see some of those guys walking around and they say, what's of interest to veterans in Kerr County? I said, well, this guy was up there the other day and he kept going on and on about this thing. So maybe you can tell them let them know. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Make the motion to accept the quarterly report from Mr. Nolan.
Second. Motion and second to accept the Veteran Services Advisory Committee report as presented. Any discussion? Questions? Those in
My
favor?
question is, how come we don't have Veterans Month? We have all these other months that we recognize different groups. We have Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but why don't we have Veterans Month?
I would probably answer that. I feel very appreciated. I'm sure the judge does as well as a veteran. It kind of feels like Veterans Day, you know, throughout that month and that time.
There's a
It's
build-
a lot of
build up.
recognition.
Yeah.
You know, as well as Memorial Day, so and then we have our birthdays, you know, throughout the year where we don't forget, so I'm certainly appreciative. I'm not gonna recommend that we have our own month. I will say one note, the greatest challenge is my generation, coming forward for your benefits, and coming forward to be involved. The GWAT generation, 55 to 30, especially those that have suffered things from burn pits, which are, if you will, similar to what the Vietnam generation suffered with Agent Orange. Burn pit and the PACT Act that went along with it are something that's very interesting. So I want to encourage all those that have not gone to the VA, that are still have served and may be suffering, to come forward, because it can be significant on your health. And any fireman knows that when you ingest burnt things like from a dumpster,
I just
it's
want
not
to say,
good.
we just got a 99-year-old veteran a couple weeks ago that's never filed before. And it just shows you like it's needed. I mean, I think our youngest is 20, and so that's our range, 20 to 99.
Yeah.
So, and we find people all the time who say, I didn't even know. And our motto is, let's just try it. The worst they'll do is say no, but let's try it. And we have a pretty good success rate. Not everybody, but I mean, we fight as much as we can, and we do our best with it. I do have a little bit of stats if y'all want some from the last time I was here in March.
We've got to act on the motion.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We have a motion and a second to
Just
approve
wait,
the
Jenna.
report as presented. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Now we'll call item 1.21, consider discuss take appropriate action to accept donation in the amount of $50 for the Memorial Day events. And you can lead off with what you were going to say.
Okay, so last time I came for our quarterly was March 24th. I just added a few little bit of stats. Since then, we've had 401 appointments. We've submitted 225 claims. Veterans have received $268,009.34 in retroactive pay. The new annual amount for them is $654,401.64. I do owe you a report for May, but a lot of things were being finalized last week and I was out of the office, so I'll be working on that and I will provide you the report for May.
Good.
And then to what's on the agenda, we received a $50 donation from Ms. Claire Nelms for veteran programs, so we would put it into there for our veteran program line item.
I move for approval.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to approve accepting the $50 gift to the Veteran Services Office. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, getting back on track. Let's go back to item 1.17.
16.
16.
We didn't do 16.
No, we didn't do 16. Consider, discuss, take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a change order with J.K. Bernhardt Construction Company in the amount of $38,034.12 for Sallyport door panic bars, fire code, a fire-rated door, fire code, a mini-split HVAC for the IT room, and a chemical-resistant laminate doors for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility. Mr. Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. Attached is that change order with J.K. Bernhardt Construction Company in the amount of $38,034.12 for the Sallyport door panic bars, which would meet fire code if you put them in. A fire-rated door, that's by one of the electrical rooms. Fire code came back and said, this door's got to be fire-rated. A mini split HVA system for the IT room. If you talk with IT director, he says that's an absolute must for that IT room. It should have been in the original. It wasn't, simply because the former IT director didn't think it was necessary. Chemical resistant laminate doors for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility. We've talked about those, all of these at length over the last few weeks, ready to take some action on it based on how things went last week. Again, you had $60,093 earlier. You did approve a change with UES in the amount of $7150. If you approve this for $38,034, you will have a balance of $14,909. County engineer requests that the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a change order with J.K. Bernhard Construction Company in the amount of $38,034.12 for dog and cat sally port door panic bars to meet fire code, a fire-rated door to meet fire code, mini split HVA system for the IT room, and chemical-resistant laminate doors for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility Precinct 2.
I'll make the motion to approve that action.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the change order with J.K. Bernhard as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.17, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Wellborn Engineering and Surveying. Said contract not to exceed the amount of $3,700 for geotechnical engineering services associated with a concrete slab design for the Kerr County Indoor Arena East Edition, location at 3782 State Highway 27, Kerrville, Texas, pursuant to the recent architectural and MEP phase of said project. Charlie Hastings.
That's right. Kerr County Indoor Arena and the East Edition, that's the weld-up metal building attached to the east side of the indoor arena, are in the architectural and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing MEP phase of design as identified and recommended by the Office and Storage Space Committee and as being managed by Commissioner Precinct 2 Rich Paces. The attached soil investigation scope from Wellborn Engineering and Surveying was coordinated by and through the county structural engineer, Maxwell Engineering, PLLC, as the result of the investigation are needed by Maxwell to complete the concrete slab design for the project. He needed more information from the architect and the MEP to where he could get to a point where he says, okay, I know what they need. Now I need a geotechnical report of the soils that are in that indoor arena and in the east weld up so that I can design that concrete slab that's supposed to go in there at some point in the future. County engineer requests that the court authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Wellborn Engineering and Surveying, said contract not to exceed the amount of $3,700 for geotechnical engineering services associated with the concrete slab design for the Kerr County Indoor Arena and East Edition located at 3782 State Highway 27, Kerrville, Texas, pursuant to the recent architectural and MEP phase of said project. Precinct 2.
I'm going to make a motion that this court authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Wellborn Engineering and Surveying not to exceed the amount of $3,700 for geotechnical engineering services associated with the concrete slab design for the Kerr County Indoor Arena.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Absolutely. Office and Storage Space Committee.
Yes, sir.
That's part of a failed bond, right?
Not really, but
It's not?
it's related. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's why I want to explain.
Okay.
If it's part of a failed bond and we're fixing to go forward with something towards this, what are we doing? Are we anticipating we're gonna go ahead and start doing projects out there? If we are, then this needs to be done, and I agree.
Okay.
But I need to know why we're moving forward with something at this point when we don't have the funding already appropriated towards that.
Okay. Well, let me answer that. I mean, a lot of this started with the Office Space and Storage Committee. Most of that work was done last year, and we identified all the problem areas for office space and in particular storage, and we kind of added in the indoor arena because it was a failed bond, and yet it was obvious that we needed to do something to address, in particular, the safety concerns, but some of the other concerns, okay? So that's what was done. And last year, this court approved a total of $710,000 in this current fiscal budget to address certain concerns. The foremost, we had $500,000 remaining of ARPA funds out of the 10.2 that was granted to Kerr County. And the court decided that this was one project that could be completed by the deadline to commit to the funds, which I think was the end of the year, fiscal year, no, sorry, calendar year. And of course, we recently completed that project and spent basically $500,000, which was
It was earmarked for that.
It was earmarked.
earmarked for it,
Yeah.
and it was all ARPA funds that went to the roof replacement. But we had another $210,000 in the budget, and it was intended to cover things like architectural design and engineering. It also, well, I can tell you what it got spent on. We spent about $90,000 because unbeknownst to us, before we got too far with the roof replacement project, was that it became obvious that there were structural concerns that had to be addressed before we could put a new roof on there, so that the structure itself would be sound and could support, in particular, the wind loads associated with the new roof. So we hired Jim Maxwell Engineering, to look at the structural, and he had done some work, I guess, under Peter Lewis, when the bond was being considered in the first place, back in, well, I don't even know when it was done, but it was prior to the bond election. So he dusted all that off, and, you know, we didn't spend very much money with it, but he gave us the structural design. We got bids. That also was done by Martinez Roofing. They did a great job getting it done, and of course, it was ideal because they were putting the roof on so that, you know, they could coordinate between structural repair and putting a new roof on. And as I say, we spent about $90,000 between the structural engineering and the actual, I think it was $75,000 on the structural work. Okay, and then what we are doing is trying to position this project for the future in terms of what the court wants to do with it. You know, I was a little irritated that last Monday that various comments were made. There was a lot of misinformation when we talked about the animal control shelter, that they try to draw analogies to the indoor arena project when we haven't approved an indoor arena project.
Correct.
Okay, so I had intended to make a lot of comments about that, so I thank you for the lead-in. And,
Well,
look, again,
I'm gonna make a point to get us back on the agenda item.
well, this is on this agenda. All my comments now are on this ag barn. So it is specific to this item and the next one.
This item is about a $3,700 bill to
Yep.
Wilford Engineering.
Well, a
But
question
I'm
was
gonna
asked, and
ask-
I'm trying to answer it.
I'm gonna ask, what are the steps out there that you foresee?
Okay, look, there have been a lot of steps that have
Whoa,
been,
whoa, 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 whoa. Let's get back to the agenda item, and I'm looking to my county attorney now.
So we can understand, this $3,700 on this agenda item is just for the planning. It's not approving.
it
a
is
concrete
to
floor.
develop, correct. It's develop the detailed plans for the design of a concrete floor that would potentially be installed at some point in time in the indoor arena.
And I think the question from Commissioner Jones was whether this particular item was related to the evaluation done by the committee a couple of years ago.
Well, last year.
Well,
Oh, no,
no,
I'm
the-
talking about the
2022.
CIP.
Oh, well, no, he asked about the office
Well,
space
no,
and storage
well, he just said it
committee.
was a
That last
recommendation,
year.
because Charlie said it was a recommendation from that committee. That's where that wording came from.
And the part of the question was whether it was included in the failed bond election.
Correct.
Correct, and so I still don't know what that answer is, but this item is about a $3,700 surveying contract.
Okay.
for services to be rendered.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't want to hear any more background, is that?
Well, we don't have that on the agenda.
Right.
Well, I should have given it my opening comments then. I'll tell you what's on the agenda is, I will provide the rest of these comments under the liaison assignment updates because I am the liaison to the indoor arena. So I'll table my other comments and you'll hear them later
You are.
today.
I thought you were.
No. You are for the bond, but, we actually have.
I'm sorry, but Don's the
Oh, am I wrong? Wait a
liaison.
minute,
for-
hang on. I thought I was, for the project.
King's X.
Yeah.
King's X, time out. Let's get back on track. We have an agenda item before the court with a motion and a second to approve the contract with Wellborn Engineering for geotechnical services associated with the concrete slab design at the indoor arena. That's what's before the court. And we have a motion and a second. Are there any more questions or comments?
Once you signed up to speak.
Okay. That's Ms. Wright? Now remember, this is about that $3,700 contract.
Got it. In May of 2022, 58% of Kerr County voters disapproved the bond proposal known as Proposition B, which was the $8 million upgrades to the indoor arena of the Youth Event Center. This included installation of a concrete floor, which I'm sure you have to do all of these things before you put that concrete floor. So here we are looking to spend $3,700 for engineering services. Why is this even before the court? We voted no. That's my question.
Any other questions or comments? Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. 3-2. Motion carries. Item 1.18, consider discussion take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Maxwell Engineering, PLLC. Said contract not to exceed $12,075 for structural engineering services associated with retrofits for the Kerr County Indoor Arena in East Addition, located at 3782 State Highway 27, Kerrville, Texas, pursuant to the recent architectural and MEP phase of said project. Mr. Hastings.
Maxwell Engineering, PLLC, was selected through a request for qualification solicitation issued by the court back in 2024, and a scope and fee has been identified in the attached Maxwell Engineering, PLLC proposal dated June 4th, 2025, for structural services related to the architectural and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, MEP phase of design for the Kerr County Indoor Arena in East Addition. The county engineer requests that the court authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Maxwell Engineering, PLLC. Said contract not to exceed the amount of $12,075 for structural engineering services associated with retrofits for the Kerr County Indoor Arena in East Addition, located at 3782 State Highway 27, Kerrville, Texas, pursuant to the recent architectural and MEP phase of said project. Precinct 2.
Questions and
Make a motion
comments?
first?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the court authorize the county judge to execute a contract with Maxwell Engineering. Said contract not to exceed the amount of $12,075 for structural engineering services associated with retrofits to the Kerr County Indoor Arena.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the contract with Maxwell Engineering as presented. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, sir. Could you kind of maybe talk about what's wrong with the structural? Why do we need
This is the structural design of the slab. The slab can't be designed first without the geotech report. The geotech is gonna go in and show what the soil conditions are, and then that recommendation and that data will go to this structural engineer so that he can design the slab.
And Charlie, this engineering be good no matter, you know, if we don't do anything for
Yes.
5 years, we still have the study.
That's right.
That's right. And
So
there,
whenever we got ready to take this bite down the road at some point, that's
You're
already
gonna
done.
need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be any cheaper down the road.
No.
And there is a little bit of actual steel structure that may, there's an option that's been considered. A request was made to change the entry doors in the front. We have two big entrance doors.
If you want
And
to call
Jake
them
would
that.
like to have one big one, but if you've ever noticed, trucks have smashed the heck out of, the stuff
Oh,
in
they're
between.
terrible.
So by having a larger one, maybe putting some bollards or something to protect the door if we change it, there may be some structural design, just, if we're gonna move from two doors to one doors, obviously additional structural enforcement will be required for that.
I just
That's
wanted-
included in the scope.
I just wanted
And
to
that's an
make
option.
sure people understood that this would be, doesn't mean we're doing it this year, next year, or
Correct.
whatever. It
Absolutely.
would need to be done, this and the last agenda item.
And we have funds available to do this kind of work this
Okay.
year.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. 3-2. Okay, next item on the agenda is 1.19, information and discussion for a potential subdivision referred to as Escondido Heights at Las Colinas, phases 2, 3, and 4. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. The developer is McRae Partners LTD. They've got a 513 total acres that they would like, they're proposing 154 lots on that. So your average is 3.3 acres per lot. The smallest lot size is 1.01 acres, and looks like the biggest is somewhere around 30 plus. So it's quite a range there. They are proposing to put in their own public water system. There's already one there for the existing Las Colinas subdivision that has been there for 15 or 20 years now. They would be expanding that water system. The septic would be handled, on-site septic systems for each lot would have their own septic system, which state law says you have to have at least half an acre, and their smallest lot is double that. Not a problem there. There is some Zone A unstudied floodplain. I mentioned earlier today that when you develop property and you subdivide, if you've got unstudied property on there, you've got to do a flood study. So that's one of the things they will have to do for a final plat. Today's not about a final plat. Today's about bringing forth a concept plan for information and discussion only.
Like the good old days.
That's right. And there are several proposed roads in this subdivision. They would be privately maintained roads and 5.2 miles of roads, 12 different roads, 10 cul-de-sacs. The concept for this proposed subdivision consists of 3 phases. Like I said, 154 lots on 513 acres. It's adjacent to and connecting to the existing Las Colinas subdivision. Since it is in Kerrville's ETJ, their extraterritorial jurisdiction, and partially within the city of Kerrville, some of it's in the city. The developer will also be working with the city, and I understand they have already recently secured a preliminary plat approval from the city. There are proposed connections to the existing roads. One connection at Las Rinconas. It's in the existing Las Colinas subdivision. That's where they would come at the end of that cul-de-sac and continue that road. One connection to Spur 98, and one connection to Shepherd Reese Road. Some overall comments before I introduce their engineer, Eva Lou Rose. I'm going to have her come and she can tell you more about this. We need some road names. That'll be a comment that they'll see. We need road names, and I know they're at a concept phase right now, so that's not happened yet. The main road connecting to Spur 98, that connects Spur 98 and Las Rinconas, will need to be a collector because of the volume of traffic, the number of lots that it will serve ultimately. The lots surrounded by lots 193 through 206 is currently landlocked. If you looked at the overall development plan, there's not a connection for it back to a road. That's also the same piece of property a few weeks ago the developer said hey, I need to access my property through your property off of Shepherd Reese Road. The court authorized me to issue a temporary driveway permit to allow them that access so that they could construct some ponds on that property. But they will need to make sure that at the end of the day, it's not landlocked. There will be a water availability study required. I understand that it's either finished or close to be finished and be available for me to start reviewing soon. They will need to do a flood study. We talked about that. We might need a traffic impact analysis from them for their connections to Shepherd Reese Road. As more information is available, we'll be able to make a determination. And then it's in the city's, also the city's CCN, Certificate of Convenience and Necessity, which means it doesn't bother us. It's not our issue, but that's something they'll have to work out with the city. If they're gonna have their own water system within the city's CCN, they're gonna have to be released. And my understanding is that the city doesn't want to provide the water over there. It's at a different elevation from their system, and that I think they got their preliminary plat approved already by the city, so that's kinda, you can tell they're working with the city on that. That's just a side note. And with that being said, I will introduce Eva Lou Rose. She is the design engineer, project engineer for this project.
Thank you, Charlie and Commissioners, for allowing me to be here today. We're super excited. I'm representing McRae Partners on this project. As Charlie mentioned, the overall development is approximately 514 acres. It will be developed into 3 different phases. The first phase that we have submitted a preliminary plat for is what we're calling Phase 2, which is it's going to be called Escondido Heights Phase 2. It will tie into the existing Las Colinas subdivision off of Los Rincones. So that street will extend through and tie and give access to property owners to this new development. They will actually have 2 access points. They'll have one from the main entrance of Las Colinas and an existing second entrance that's a little bit further off of the main entrance on Shepherd Reese. So they'll provide 2 access points there. This is a unique project where we have several entities that we're having to work with. As Charlie said, it's within Kerr County. Part of it is within the city limits of the city of Kerrville. It's in the ETJ of the city of Kerrville. It's also in existing the city of Kerrville CCN boundary limits. And also the overall development will provide access off of Thompson Road, which is a TxDOT road. So we've been in communication with all different entities. We've met with TxDOT. They are in favor of this project. Once we develop Phase 3 and what we're calling Phase 4, that's when we will trigger most likely a traffic impact study with them. So we'll be in communication with them as we move forward. In our discussions with the city of Kerrville, we are currently in negotiations of being released from their CCN. And then also we will be there's about 90 acres of this development that are in the city limits. And so we will be requesting to be released out of the city limits also. So we're currently in negotiations, hopefully to meet with them. I think we've already met with them about twice regarding this issue or these discussions. And so hopefully we'll resolve that in the next month of getting an official release letter from them. As Charlie mentioned, the proximity of this new development from the existing city of Kerrville's water system, it's too far away. Also, the city has some issues with the low water pressure zones, and they currently don't have anything in their 2050 development to expand any water services or septic services to this area. So it makes more sense and it's more feasible for the existing Las Colinas water system to be extended to serve this area and the future phases of this development. We've also met with Gene and his staff over at Headwaters. We've gone through lots of their comments and concerns, and we just finished up a water availability study that will be submitted to the county, and we've actually already submitted to Headwaters. And basically, it states that we have enough water for the for the overall development, 154 lots. So we'll, as I mentioned, we'll be submitting that to Charlie for the Kerr County for his review. The study, as Charlie mentioned, we do have some Zone A that will be part of the future Phase 3 and Phase 4. So at the time that we start Phase 3 and Phase 4, we will complete that flood study as required. At this point, the only thing that we are moving forward with is Phase 2, and so that's part of the preliminary plat that you're seeing right now. That, as I mentioned before, that plat was submitted to the city of Kerrville, and it was just recently approved last week, and they just had a few minor notes and comments that we need to add to that. So our next step is to finish up Phase 2 Escondido Heights, develop the roadway plans and drainage study. We'll need some detention ponds as part of that development, and that will be submitted to Kerr County for their approval. And then in addition to that, we'll be submitting a final plat to the commissioners for your approval.
So have y'all decided to go ahead with the entire Phase 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and that's about 102 acres, yes.
Okay.
With the average acreage about 1 to 2 acres for phase 2?
Yes, sir.
It's
Lots over
37
there.
lots.
Some of them, there's about, I
Pretty
think the
normal.
smallest is a little over 1. The largest one is about 30 acres. So we're trying to keep the style of large residential lots to capture the hill country style that we want to incorporate into the subdivision, as you've seen like in the existing Las Colinas.
Who is your targeted client? So, is this affordable housing? Or is
No.
this for retirees
Well,
from Houston and Dallas?
I'm not, I think probably Chasten the owner would probably be a better person to answer that question. I mean, these will be in the hill country, large acre lots. So I'm assuming this is probably not, this is not be considered affordable housing.
Your employer is just selling lots. It's going to be up to whoever buys it to hire a contractor to build a house. Is that correct?
So we will be selling the lots, and we will have an architectural approval committee. We'll have a homeowners association, and then we'll be, I believe, and I apologize if I misspeak here, but approved contractors that will be able to develop in the subdivision.
I just want to say y'all done everything that's been asked of you, and I appreciate y'all working on this way you have, working with Charlie and Headwaters in the city, and y'all done a good job on this. So thank you.
Thank you, I
that.
appreciate that comment.
And let me echo that. The best thing I've heard you say over and over today is we've been in discussions with everybody. And that's the way we want to do it, collaborate together.
Thank you.
If I may, I have
You have to go to the podium.
You have to go to the podium.
We're on YouTube.
I was wondering if there's a possibility of getting a plat of Phase 2, Phase 3, and Phase 4.
Well, once they're filed with us, they're public record.
He asked that question before court this morning, and I let him know that he could file a public information request or access the backup on the Kerr County Commissioners Court website.
And the reason I'm asking, because I'm in Phase 1. And I'd just like to know what's gonna be built there. The water that's gonna go in that area, the road, where it's gonna tie into Phase 1. And so I guess I have an interest in it. Do you provide that?
I can yes.
Sure. So,
You bet.
This was an information item. Is there anything else to discuss?
Yeah, just the fact that, like you said earlier, we don't get this very often anymore, right, Charlie? That's right. And so we do appreciate that, because state law doesn't require y'all to do what you're doing with us right now, and it's always better if you do, so thank you.
Well, thank you all for having us. I really appreciate it. And everybody's been great to work with. It's been very open to our ideas and work through some of the development and design of this layout. So I really appreciate everyone's support.
Well, we're all in this together.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda.
Sir?
Is item 1.22, consider discussion, take appropriate action to determine Kerr County's level of membership for the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce as per court order 41262. If you look at the attachment that we have, they've got those memberships. There's this page here. You look at it, you can see what's included with the $200 membership, what's included with the $500 membership for nonprofits.
Well, I'm a hard sell on this stuff, and I was looking at it when I was reviewing this stuff, and I realized that we voted to do something. And looking through this list, the only one that I thought might possibly help somebody like the county, we're not a business,
Right.
is maybe posting our job available. Other than that, going through this, do we need ribbon cuttings? Do we need,
One reason we're doing is the ribbon cutting for the new annex.
we can do our own thing there.
Well, they wanted,
I know, but it looks like a lot of money for nothing, you know?
I talked to our PR person too to find out at Lisa if it would be of any advantage for her, and it's not. They do not give you access to their membership to send out for bidding processes, for anything. So that's the reason I was not real in favor of this, but y'all voted for it, so we're gonna come up with a membership here.
So having done that, I'll make a motion to do the minimum of $350 package.
I think for the nonprofits, it's 200.
Oh, okay. I'm in.
And the other column over there, they've got a $300 for nonprofits, and they've got also $500 for nonprofits. And the rest of them are applicable.
Then I'll make a motion to go with the $200 package.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to apply for a $200 membership with the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce. Any discussion? Questions?
The only thing it doesn't really get us is their inclusion in the ribbon cutting ceremony at that price. And you're saying it's something we can do on our own.
He said that.
I guarantee you, if we have our own ribbon cutting, every paper will be out there.
No, I get it. It's gonna be a big deal. And we can organize that ourselves, but why haven't we joined the chamber before? I need some historical context.
Mr. Letts is not here to tell us.
Well, and I would say, why would we?
Okay.
If we want to throw money against the wall, we can join the West Kerr Chambers. Theirs is $250.
Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Everybody, all of them? Unanimous. Okay, moving on to item 1.23. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to begin the process to sell property owned by Kerr County located at 3600 Loop 534, which is the old animal control, Kerr County Animal Services Building, pursuant to the local government code, including authorization to expend funds to publish notice in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code, and to expend funds to appoint an appraiser to determine the fair market value of the property to be sold. And we're required to have the appraisal.
I'm gonna turn this on so that folks on YouTube can hear me too.
Okay.
The county a few years ago adopted a policy for the sale or lease of county real property. And under that policy, the court needs to designate a representative who will administer the solicitation, submittal, and opening of submittals based on the contents of the request, and this policy that you all have. So that's something that you'll need to do today, designate that representative, but you can also, at that time, designate a committee who will make recommendations on the ranking of the submittals once they're given to the county, and the award of a bid or proposal based on the contents of the request and our policy. So you'll need to do those two things today, and the designated representative can go ahead and then work with the appraiser to get that done, so that the county can then draft the minimum acceptable terms for the RFP that y'all are willing to take on the property based on that appraisal.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and begin this process, because it's, I think it's crucial to know what kind of funds we have to offset against the shortages that we have on the animal control facility.
Second.
Any discussion? We've got to designate a representative and form a committee.
That's right, so you
Which
can
needs
have
to
two
be part of it.
different motions, I think,
Okay.
would be most helpful. One, to start to designate the representative under the policy, and then two, to designate the committee.
Okay. We got a motion and a second on that first part.
Well, but it's got a designated representative.
Oh,
I think that's really what's gonna get the process started, like the initial
So,
motion was.
Anybody want to volunteer to head this up?
Sound like your project.
Already kind of invested in this building and its future success, and this is a part of it.
Yeah. So,
oh yeah, I'm good with that.
you made your motion?
I am too.
I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Get them up.
Quick, before we change the spot.
For those of you that don't know, usually if you're absent, you get appointed.
One question though about the sale of that property eventually. I would just ask you to look into whether there are any assets out there that we would want to retain or exclude from the sale. And the example would be the, kind of that office building that we put out there for where Reagan is.
Sure.
And,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
We have walked
that
through.
could come in handy in other places. So, just consider it.
Yeah, we've, probably I am good to be on the part of this because I've walked through
Yeah.
the property. I understand there is a metal storage building that we want to retain.
There's some portables there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just
The
saying.
portable office building does have considerable value because of the improvements, which I'm grateful. Well, Shane's not here, but
Yeah.
the improvements to that building, there is a sellable value in the property, the building, even though it's in its current configuration, as well as that office building. So
Big deal.
it all needs to be considered,
I
but
don't-
the intention is to move a metal storage building.
Didn't you say we need to do a second part of this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Committee.
you'll need to do a second part that designates the committee, and in the past, it's been a three-member committee, and this was years ago, and I just asked our tax assessor, who graciously accepted the suggestion that he may be part of that committee, and I'll volunteer myself with Commissioner Holt if that is an appropriate committee and the court approves that.
So moved.
Second. No,
Any discussion?
I'll be a good one on that
Those in
committee.
favor, get your hands up.
Yep, very good.
Unanimous.
Who's the three members?
Mr. Holt?
Bob
Bob
Reeves.
Reeves. Whose profession is as appraiser.
Yep.
Very good.
I'd be surprised if that place sells and there's not a bulldozer involved.
Item 1.24, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the mutual aid agreement for cooperation of law enforcement efforts between Kerr County and Live Oak County Sheriff's Office, along with various Texas counties and agencies, and to authorize the county judge to sign same. Sheriff Letha.
Yes, I'm just looking for the court's approval to enter into a mutual aid agreement with Live Oak County. We currently already have some of these in place. Actually, we have one with Kendall. We don't plan on working on them on a regular basis, but just gives us the opportunity to work with them in the future if needed.
Live Oak is Three River?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the mutual aid agreement with Live Oak County as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.25, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the interlocal agreement between Kerr County and the City of Kerrville for jail services. Sheriff?
Yes, I'm just looking for the court's approval on this interlocal agreement between us and the city of Kerrville. As I've made y'all aware in the past, I've raised the inmate housing prices. The people inside the county from $50 to $65 Outside counties going for $65 to $100 October 1. I just need y'all's approval to move forward with this.
I move for approval.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the interlocal agreement with the city of Kerrville for jail services as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.26, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve and authorize the county judge to sign an agreement with the Texas Association of County Information Resources Agency, CIRA, to provide Office 365 services. TAC CIRA will conduct all migration and hosting environments for Microsoft Office, email, and applications. Mr. Tennis.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Court. This is just the formal request to have the judge sign the agreement with TAC for the Office 365 migration.
And this has been the plan all along.
Yes, sir.
Yep. I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the TAC CIRA contract as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.27, openly discuss and answer questions about upcoming Active Directory migration efforts. Discussion will center on upcoming deployment schedule and department requirements. Mr. Tennis.
Yes, sir. Court. So, yeah, I just want to open this up for general questions. This has been a long time coming project for us to completely start fresh with a brand new Active Directory for the entire county network. This is where we have our permissions and roles and responsibilities, security groups and all that stuff, so that way we can access, shared drives and that stuff in a secure manner. As you can imagine, the current structure was in place 25, 30 years ago, so it has become inefficient. There's scripts that are in the background that are just running that we don't know until we don't know. We ran across that when we did the initial Odyssey migration a few weeks back. It was creating some errors internally for us. We were actually able to clean that one up, but we don't know what else is there. So this actually gives us a fresh start, a clean start, and hopefully will make our operations much more efficient. So we will be going, we'll begin the deployment on Friday the 20th of June, so here in just about 2 weeks. We will start at 5:30 p.m. local, so as to not interfere with any local operations, tax, clerks, what have you. We will have a number of individuals from our support vendor to help with the deployment process. Our initial focus will be to start off with the Sheriff's Department. Of course, the dispatch and the jail are 24-hour operations, so our full focus on Friday evening will be those locations to make sure we have minimal impact. And then starting Saturday morning, we'll be going through all the external offices. We have to physically get into each office, physically touch each workstation, remove them from the current directory, migrate the profiles to the new directory, and then have the users log in. So some of the processes will not take place until actually Monday morning. So that first Monday morning, which happens to be a Commissioner's Court date, yes, the login process, by the time we get around to Monday morning, we should have pretty good awareness of how we need to respond. Some of that will actually be ironed out Friday night and into Saturday morning. We've got a sandbox in the back that we've been working through all the different processes. What applications are we running into that need to have critical focus on? So we are putting together a deployment plan for that. So at this point, I'll just open it up for further questions.
Well, I think where we are is proceed directly to go and keep us informed.
Yes, sir.
Corey, is this related to when the emails will change? You sent out a message last week, or is this a separate issue?
They're separate but connected.
Related.
I'll say that way because the new protocols, the naming convention and all that stuff with the Active Directory migration, so your logins will now be your first name dot last name with a password, okay? So that's part of the Active Directory.
That's for logins.
That's just to get into the workstations, right? So following along that protocol with the Office 365 migration, which will actually take place on the 21st and 22nd of July, that will follow along. So your email addresses will be migrating to first name dot last name at kerrcountytex.gov. And that will start in the end of July.
Okay, so, I mean, how are we gonna manage that for the public and all of our contacts who are used to, you know, in
So
my case,
starting-
our paces as
Yeah,
opposed
so
to.
starting July 22nd, your profiles, your emails and all that stuff will reflect the .gov domain. However, that being said, anything that has been automatic emails, notification subscriptions and all that stuff can still go to the Kerr Text US domain. That will still run in the background. However, we do request moving forward after that date that any subscriptions that you do have, please do migrate them to the .gov domain. It is a more secure, more reliable, more recognizable domain, so that's part of the main reasons to migrate to the .gov as well.
Okay.
Anything else for Corey?
There was one question about whether we had budget funds for all the cards that are gonna be required for all the staff that when emails
I would
change.
just say is that as you migrate to the new letterheads, new paper, stock, business cards, when you refresh, at that point, start with the new .gov.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Next agenda item is item 1.28. Consider discuss and take appropriate action to adopt a Kerr County fence signage policy. Commissioner Harris.
All right, last week, I met with Jake out at the Ag Barn as well as Shane, and I recruited Bubba Walters because he had extensive experience with signs on fences as a coach and what have you, and we came up with something very simple for all Kerr County properties that are fenced. And this is what we came up with. All signs 3 foot by 6 foot or larger must have cutouts for wind flow or be made of windscreen material. And second item, all signs must be spaced at least a foot apart. And that's it, nice and simple, but it would alleviate the problems we had at the ball fields a couple months ago. So, very simple.
Do they need to come get permission?
Yes, they do, but, the Little League will let them handle that, I think. But Jake is kind of the one in charge out there, and his people, they come to him.
What about the event center? Because there's a lot of people, every event that's out there, they
Well, that's
wanna
what we're
put a
talking
sign.
about, that's a property,
on that
Kerr
one,
County
so-
property.
Yeah.
And they would go through Jake.
Right.
And
And
what
then-
have you. And we already had policy, as far as, during elections
Yeah,
and
so
what have you.
this doesn't change any of that policy,
No.
because that policy
And
said
the
you can't
biggest
put them on
problem
the
with
fence.
them, we don't let them put them on the
I know
fences
it.
at all. The problem is, most of that's that plastic corrugated stuff, and there is no wind
I know.
flow, and then, especially, the local people aren't so bad, but the out-of-state out of county
Yeah.
candidates, just leave them. Their people put them up and never show up again.
You might want in this policy just to make a statement that it does not change the policy with respect to.
Yeah, we already got a
elections.
policy for that, so,
Yeah.
It's two separate, okay, I think. But if we want to add that this does not pertain to
I would.
the candidate signage
Just
during
to be abundantly
elections,
clear, because that's always a big issue.
then I think that's been noted. And with that, I'll move for approval.
I'll second it then.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous? 5-0. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, which is, this is a discussion regarding proposed department requested budgets, including but not limited to special requests, new positions, capital projects, and tax rate. If you recall, we've had our 3 workshops. We have 3 other opportunities to receive input from the public or to fine-tune these things before I submit the recommended budget. And just so you know, I went and looked at what's been requested so far, would create a budget of about $59.5 million. Last year, it was almost $67,000, but that included a lot of special revenue funds that we were trying to spend for the radio system and some of the other capital improvements. But that's what it's looking like for the public, so that you know what my target is. And this goes back to my history here with the county. I've done 6 budgets. The first year we did the budget, our auditor had passed away, and I worked with the assistant auditor, and it was the first time for both of us. And we got through it, and the budget was, the tax rate was the same as it had been the year before. That was in 2019. Every year since then, we have come in with a tax rate lower than the prior year's tax rate. And with the latest legislative guidelines, they call it the no new revenue rate. And that's pretty late in the process that we work with Mr. Reeves back here and get these rates so that we know where we are. But the goal is to come in at a no new revenue rate. That's what we've been doing. That's what we're going to try to do on this one. The rate this past year was 42.33 cents per $100 valuation. When I first started back in 2019, when I came on board, it was 51.54 cents per hundred. So we've reduced the rate down pretty good. There are a lot of special requests, and I just put these there so you can see the thickness. These are just one stack of special requests. And we'll look at those and the new positions going forward. This is just your opportunity to talk to me about the budget if there's have any input. Is there anyone that wants to address the court?
Well, we do have two of our VFD chiefs here.
Okay.
As I mentioned in the opening.
Three, one's hiding around the corner.
Well, I think he's already spoken, so.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I watched the last meeting.
Just tell them who you are first and who you represent.
I'm Brian Alexander, Mountain Home Fire Chief, and I'm the president of CARFA. So after watching last week's YouTube video of y'all, I just want to clarify a few things. So CARFA does not fund anything for the VFDs. Okay? There was a conversation about ESD throughout the whole county. Every ESD is different. So I want to explain mine. I bring in $55,000 from my ESD. That right now purchased a new engine for us in 2020. That is all the money that we have. So the rest of our money comes from y'all and from the taxpayers when we do a fundraiser. I know there's a conversation about people having bigger fundraisers than others. We're all different, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that each VFD in this county is different. Some of us do more, some of us do less, but we are all different. So if anybody has any questions, please come to us and let's just explain why and what we do. I am going to explain for Mountain Home. We covered 222 square miles. I covered 20 miles of Interstate 10. The majority of our calls are wrecks. At this time of this year, I have 68 calls. Last year, I had 148. When I first started out 23 years ago doing volunteer, we had less than 10. So our call volume is going up quite a bit. So I do want y'all to understand that any little bit that we can get, I appreciate Mr. Harris speaking up and getting us 5% possibly, but we do appreciate every little bit we can get. But please let us explain to on our ESDs what they can do and what they cannot do. I hate to come in here and ask y'all for $1 million engine. I don't think y'all want to do that. So that's where my ESD funds it. So, any questions for me?
Yeah, let me pile in on top of this. You know, I remember when y'all bought that new engine, and y'all knew right then it was going to take every bit of your ESD money for the next, I believe, 10 years. What financed it for?
Yep.
And I will say, Mountain Home VFD, their ESD brings in the least of out of all four of them in the county. You know, the one at Centerpoint probably brings in 9 times what yours does. So you're at the low end of the totem pole, and you can only raise your rate so much each year, and y'all started out low, so you are kind of stuck for a while.
We're stuck for a long time.
Yes, and the call volume that y'all have out there on the interstate and everything, I mean, it just, I don't know how many times more it is than some that aren't required to cover the interstate. So it's huge. So if it wasn't for y'all have a pretty good fundraiser, and then what little we give you, that's pretty much it.
Yes,
In
sir.
donations.
Any other questions for me?
Well, Brian,
Thank you.
you and I had an interesting conversation yesterday on the phone.
Okay.
And we were talking about, well, first, let me back up and just say that, you know, the value that the county and all of our citizens get from our volunteer firefighters is just incredible. I mean, in terms of, yes, we contribute some money, but that's nothing compared to what, if we had to pay for some kind of full-time fire service. You know, I look at Kerrville and their cost of providing full-time working fire department. Well, last time I looked, it was somewhere around $8-9 million a year. So we're getting off cheap by having volunteer fire departments and relying on folks to step up and be there to support their citizens. So I applaud you guys for that. But, you know, the conversation we had yesterday was, you know, it's getting harder and harder to get volunteers to work for our VFDs, and some of those who've been doing it are getting a lot older, and they're retiring, or you know, they just can't do what they used to do when they were a little bit younger. So anyway,
I resemble that.
Sorry?
I resemble that.
Well, talk to us about that, you know. And
Well,
I'm
one
not-
of my conversation with Mr. Pace was, I always look at 5, 10, 15 year. And it seems like every year it comes up closer and closer. Volunteering is getting very hard to find people. The younger generation's not doing it. I try to preach to as much parents I can to teach your kids to volunteer, but it's all about the money. Everybody always wants, what does it pay? It doesn't pay anything. And so people don't volunteer like they used to. Over the years, we see where the older generation that is retired, they join, they put their time in, and then they get to the point where they can't do it anymore. One of my things I always tell everybody: there's a place for everybody. It doesn't matter what your age is. There's a place for everybody in a department. But we start seeing that the older generation, that is our retired folks that do come around, and then they decide to retire from us. It's an eye shocker. It just gets worse and worse. And so one of the things I discussed with Mr. Pace was, what are we going to do in the county when volunteers are not here no more? Think about that. It's pretty sad. You know,
It's pretty scary.
when your house is on fire and there's no one to show. And like I told him, we can't rely on Kerrville because I think the cost of money is going to be extremely excessive, plus the time. So people need to think about that. I don't know how to make people join. You really can't make them do it, but if more people would come up and join and see what we go through. I know in my department, we're like a big family. You don't realize until you get there, we're for each other no matter what. So
Like a fraternity almost.
yeah, I mean, but going back on, you know, it's not like it used to where you could just jump on the back of a truck and help fight the fire. We used to have that back in the day where homeowners would help us fight out grass fire. Can't do it without insurance. They will not allow it. Now we have to fight the problem with gear, you know. I used to make a comment about, we used to get on brush trucks with T-shirts and a pair of blue jeans and never burnt one up. But now we have to put on special gear because if we don't, the insurance company don't pay for stuff. And it's one of those deals, God forbid if anything ever happens to anybody on the fire scene, but we have to have coverage for all that. So the mom and pop style old fire department where you could just kind of do things is not there no more. We have to have rules and regulations, and we try to follow as much as we can, but there's some things that are regulated on money-wise. So just to kind of give you all a heads up, we just got a grant for some SCBA's. Each air pack breathing apparatus that we can use we have to use on structure fire, vehicle fires, a dumpster on fire. That's $10,000. Luckily, I got a grant between our ESD. They did support a little bit of it, and the rest of the grant was through LCRA. That's about 5 packs. That's $50,000. But all my packs I had before were over 20 some odd years old. They were all starting to fail, have problems with them, couldn't get parts. So it adds up really quick. Anything that has fire related on it is extremely expensive.
Yep.
So, like I said, I appreciate everything y'all done for us. So when y'all are thinking about us, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I guess I'd also highlight that there's a huge training commitment as well.
Yes.
And, you know, you talked about Kerrville If somehow our volunteer fire force were to disappear or significantly diminish, yeah, I'm sure Kerrville's costs would go way up, or the county's cost to have them respond would go way up. Right now, we have mutual aid, and yeah, they respond to some of our fires, but equally, we respond to an awful lot of their fires, because the one thing that all of you volunteers are great at is moving water. And anywhere there's a fire in the Kerrville city limits where there's not a fire hydrant, guess who gets called? And y'all do a damn good job of moving water and showing up to support them, as they do on a structure fire or whatever to support us. So it's been a great relationship with the Kerrville Fire Department. But with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Holt.
How y'all doing? I'm Chief Charles Holt from the Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department. And, I remember standing before y'all, a few years ago, the last time I was here, I was probably the poorest department in the county, Currently, my ESD brings in $583,000 a year, which also helped us in turn to catch up with the times. My department was just extremely behind because we didn't have the funds to buy the proper equipment and do the testing for my volunteers that, risk their lives on a day-to-day basis, in service of no money. It's kind of hard to get somebody to go into a building, especially a burning one for free when you don't pay them. So, with that being said, some of the stuff that we've gotten through the ESD has really brought my department up to the times. Some of the trucks that we purchased a new vacuum tender. Not only will it benefit my area that doesn't have hydrants, but it also benefits the surrounding areas that we help serve. We help Bandera County all the time, Kendall County, city of Kerrville, where they don't have hydrants and things like that. So we're always trying to look for the more training to give to my folks and the new innovations to help us get to people faster and to fight fires quicker. Some of the materials that we have to deal with currently, the houses are burning faster. Trailer house within 10 minutes is on the ground. So we've saved 2 in the last year. Yeah. So, and that's just all in the dedication of the hard work of the volunteers that have gotten the proper training and taken it very seriously to become a good volunteer fire department. And, we're a bunch of professional individuals. So everything that the county does for us is very appreciative. An ESD, I will say, would be great for any volunteer fire department, but it's not a clear-all. So that doesn't pay for everything. There's still lots of things that we have to pay for. Like I said, my ESD brings in $583,000. My current bank account that I have right now is $27,000. That's how much the Centerpoint Volunteer Fire Department has in their account. So we still do fundraising. That fundraising pays for all of our fuels, pays for our insurance, and all the other things that DSD doesn't cover. So I really appreciate the county's efforts with this new radio system. We appreciate everything y'all done for this, and it's been a huge asset. Hopefully, once we get all the bugs worked out and everybody go on the same system, everything will be good. So I appreciate the hard work that Brian has done, the sheriff and the county, for making that happen for us. It was definitely needed. So that's all I got.
Chief, just to make sure that those taxpayers in the Centerpoint ESD area are aware, you've bought, 3 new trucks so far at a total capital cost of about $1.6 million. Could you have bought any of those trucks prior to the ESD?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And that's the dilemma for folks that don't have an ESD.
Yeah.
A fire department can't just go and get a bank loan
Yeah.
to buy a $500,000 truck. Or one of our trucks was close to $1 million.
Yeah, our last engine was $1,077,000.
Yeah.
But it came completely stocked. It wasn't like
Right.
it was empty. I have a tender that we paid $277,000 for. $200,000 came from a forestry grant, and then $75,000 came through the Peterson and the Stevenson Foundation helping us get that truck. But that truck is still currently empty on one side. We don't have the funds to put the equipment in it. So that was something that the ESD had looked at, and they were like, to better serve your citizens, you have to have this equipment, and it's true. The faster we get to open cars up and put fires out and be safe, it matters. So,
Okay.
but,
So you're not asking for anything other than that 5% increase?
no, sir, not at all.
Very good.
I think that increase, basically, I will tell you exactly, the money I get from the county covers my insurance. That's exactly what we spend the county money on. My insurance that I pay for right now is about $36,000, just my insurance.
So that'd wipe it out.
Yep. We used to get donations from the mini mart for fuel. They used to cover our fuel.
They were
We no
great
longer
to us.
have that. So that's another $20,000 a year upwards that we're gonna have to be going into. We went from running, 80 to 90 calls a year to upwards to 168 calls a year. We're fighting more fires, running more car wrecks. So helping out other counties and throughout the county and the city of Kerrville. So we do a lot of running around, so.
Chief, one question for you. That insurance, does that cover the air ambulance offerings to each of the VFD, or is that
Yes,
in
sir.
addition?
Yes, sir. So that covers also, we have a subscription through AirMed to cover our members on the job and off the job through their homes and their families. We were able to provide that this year for our volunteers. That was about $9,000. So for that subscription, and it's a 5-year deal. So, and this is one of the things that we try to help out our volunteers for serving. And like Brian said, it is a lot harder to get people to volunteer. We had about 2.5 years ago, we had 38 members. Currently, we have 25. So we just spent about $600 putting out a recruitment letter. I got one phone call. We sent out about 1,600 letters, and I got one phone call. So
Tough.
we can't do this out without the people and their help and their gracious donations. So we
So-
appreciate everything everybody does.
So even when you get an old guy that was retired and looking for a way to serve his community, and they turn up and say, what can I do to help?
Well, I mean, currently I have two smiling at me. No
You're pretty
offense.
happy to have somebody like that?
Yes, yeah. If you can drive a big truck, I got a job for you.
There you go.
You know what I mean? We have people that can kick indoors. We got people that can run water. It's all one big team. We don't have hydrants.
Well,
I don't
folks,
care if
that
you're-
was me about 4 years ago.
Yeah. I don't care if you're 16 or if you're 80. I got a job for you.
You got a job for
So
it.
we have a junior firefighter program that we put on about 4 years ago. We have currently don't have any in it. We had 3 at one time, but yeah, we have a job for everybody. If you can if you can drive a big truck, come see me. I'll show you how to pump water. So every job is just as important.
All right. And finally, Chief, don't you have a fundraiser coming up?
I do. July the 12th is our annual fundraiser.
How about
So
that?
we'll have a barbecue during the day, and then we'll have a dance and stuff that later on that night. We have a silent auction, and we have gun raffle going on. So,
All right.
yeah, y'all come see us. We have a great parade this year. I heard it's supposed to be the biggest one it's ever been. Last year, they said it was the biggest one we ever had, so
Yeah.
we're pretty excited that our little blip on the map is coming around and have a lot of good things
Sure.
going on down there. So y'all come visit Center Point and don't blink. So,
Looking forward to it.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 1.30. Consider discussion take appropriate action to allow county attorney and outside counsel, if needed, to draft a resolution to submit to the state comptroller's office regarding a venue tax and state fiscal impact study per the local government code. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, this is something that we've been thinking about for a little bit, kind of put it on ice, waiting to see what was going to happen with the hot tax. There's no question that our ag barn, I know you're not going to want me to call it that, but the ag barn, as we saw a while ago, has a lot of needs out there. And we have to find a way to take care of our county facilities. No question about that. I'm not opposed to, like the other vote might have appeared, to doing work out there. It's about having the funding to do the work.
Yeah, it did. But we do have funds, which I tried to make clear, but anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's,
Go ahead.
you need to hush. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's about us having an opportunity to raise the money to do the work that Commissioner Paces does want to do out there, and that we all want to do. But we do have to have a revenue stream towards that. And so I visited with Tracy and Bob, and we sat down and got our heads together on some stuff. And there's a scheduling. Bob, you want to talk about that for a second on how we need to schedule all this out to, because this is a referendum, and it's not just trying to get something else done. It needs to be put on the ballot for a vote.
Yes, Commissioner, I probably could speak to the scheduling better, and then I'll yield the floor to our treasurer for some of the other information. But if we wanted to act on it within this current calendar year, it'd have to be on the ballot for the November election. With that said, everything would have to be lined up and ready to go by, I believe, August 18th. I think I'd previously said the 11th, but the 11th is the commissioner's court date. The court would have to issue an order calling for an election on this item by August 11th in order to be able to be put on the ballot for November. So that's kind of we're talking about 2 months to get everything in line as far as what the comptroller's office has to go over, and I think I'll let Tracy add to that because she's researched it and sought out experts to give advice on it.
Thank you.
So this agenda item talks about having a fiscal study done by the state comptroller, and the comptroller would have 30 days to provide that fiscal impact study to the county. So if you're working backwards from that August 11th date where you would have to order an election if you chose to do so, a resolution would need to be passed probably at the next Commissioners Court date, and then July 28th-ish is about when the comptroller would have to get back to you, so that would meet that August 11th deadline.
I think it'd be prudent to kind of explain the venue tax, where it all comes from, as far as for the people watching and what have you.
Do you want me to
What,
do that?
or both. I mean, it's not like the hot tax that went through before that strictly took in the unincorporated areas. This is a 2% tax that incorporates the whole city, county, every resident. But it's strictly a venue tax, and it can only be used for, my understanding is strictly for that one
You would
location.
identify the venue. It's not a tax
said
on the
resident.
residents.
Please correct that.
It's still similar to a hot
Correct, you're right.
tax. It's on
Visitors.
any, right, it's on visitors.
Yeah, that's
So
what
it's any
Commissioner Pace was
hotel or
just correcting
short-term
me
rental
on. He's
property.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that.
And any room for rent.
Yeah, I don't want room for error, you're right. It's not residence, it is
Right.
strictly a hotel, yeah, so. Look, the income level that it'll increase by lowering from the 7 to the 2% and taking in the cities, Ingram and Kerrville, y'all projected, what, last year it would have been $523,000, $858 versus the $300 to $350 we had projected on the hot. And so it lowers that rate, but at the same time, because it takes in the cities, it increases the income by a considerable amount,
Without a doubt.
which would then enable us to get the work done that we need to do. Because we cannot get to a point that we just allow that facility to just melt down.
And not be a burden to the taxpayers.
Correct.
Local.
If you look at our budget, there's a couple different ways to get money for capital improvement, right? There is our existing budget and a tax rate that's applied. And if you look into our budget, it already says capital improvements, but there's not a lot of money put into capital improvements, which is why we keep visiting things individually. Whether it's ACs on the roofs, or if it's concrete pads, or other things for capital improvements. We choose not to tax the individual resident, right? We guard that tax rate very closely so there's no new tax. So what you're saying, this is a different type of funding line, which has city and county for all the visitors that come in.
Correct.
Are there certain rules underneath this as well for use?
For use,
For just venues? Is it only?
it has to be designated. It's a designated tax.
And you know where I'm probably headed with this, like the roads over there and our parks, which are expensive and not necessarily funded?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
This
So
will be
it's actually
strictly-
building venue.
It's a venue.
It is a venue, a building standing brick and mortar venue tax.
Yeah. Similar to the hot tax, it's all about stimulating tourism and visitors to the county. You know, so anything that draws people in, which an event center does, you know.
But here's the other side of this too. It's
not
not that anybody's pro-tax that we were hearing so much
No.
talk about. This puts it out in front of the voters to decide themselves.
Bingo.
And that's the way it should be. We'll put it out in the voters. If they want it, great. If they don't, we don't.
Yep.
I just want to make the point, we don't put a lot in our capital improvement. It's one of my greatest surprises being behind this bench is we don't. You know, a
That's
capital
awesome.
improvement plan.
That's how things get in bad repair to where we need bonds.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And then, on top of that, our county attorney has now said that you do not think you will need, we have, if needed.
Justin Briggle with the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association has been very helpful to Tracy and other county elected during this process. And he's provided an example of Clinton County's resolution, and I'm sure will be very helpful if my office needs him to help draft our resolution. But I got a go-by from Clinton County, and I'm sure that he will be able to ask any questions I need to, so I can get this done and ready.
Well, I don't see what the problem is in at least looking into it.
Right,
If we can get some relief, let's look at it.
absolutely. So I'm making that as a motion, in the form of a motion to move forward.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Item 1.31, consider discuss take appropriate action to surplus phones for the sheriff's office. Ms. Johnson.
Yes, we have, would like to surplus 32 phones from the sheriff's department. 31 are Apple iPhones and 1 Samsung cell phone.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve surplusing the phones in the sheriff's office as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. And 1.32, consider discuss take appropriate action to surplus 5 black broken high-back office chairs from the district clerk's inventory. The chairs do not have county ID tags issued to them. You can do that one too, Ms. Johnson?
I will do
Okay.
that one also. There's 5 chairs that are broken, they are being replaced, but she would like to surplus those.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve surplusing the chairs from the district clerk's office as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Okay, approval agenda. 2.1, budget amendments.
Yes, you have before you 5 budget amendments. 3 are certifying new revenue.
I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.2, pay bills.
Invoices for today's consideration is $1,103,965.40.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve paying the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.3, late bills.
There are none?
2.4, auditor reports.
There is none.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.5, accept monthly reports.
Yes, for May 2025, Justice of the Peace, Judge Mitzi French, Precinct 1, Judge Kathy Mitchell, Precinct 3, Constables Tommy Rodriguez, Precinct 1, Kyle Snyder, Precinct 2, Paul Gonzalez, Precinct 3, Brad Ryder, Precinct 4, District Clerk's Office, District Clerk Dawn Lance, Payroll, County Treasurer, Auditor's Office, County Auditor Tanya Shelton, Environmental Health and Animal Services, Director Reagan Gibbons, Registry Trust Fund Statement with Reconciliation, Kerr County Clerk. I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 2.6, court orders. I've reviewed the court orders for the May 27 meeting, which were number 41280 through 41302, as well as the orders for June 2nd, and that is court order number 41303, and they all appear to be in order. And I move that they be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the orders as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Okay, information agenda. Status reports from department heads. Moving on to 3A, 3.1A, quarterly report from Veteran Services Office. We heard her already.
Yes, sir.
So check that one off. And then B is a quarterly report from Road and Bridge. Ms. Hoffer?
Good morning. First thing I wanted to say is last quarterly report, I really appreciated the praise from the court, but I kind of realized that I just said thank you, and there's a lot of people at Road and Bridge, and everybody has a job, and everybody works together, and I always say, even if you feel like you're the lowest one on the totem pole, you know, we need everybody. And so I wanted to make sure to say that. Felt kind of bad that I didn't. But I do believe in that, and I really feel like everybody has their place. I'll start with some of the things that are currently working. The Ingram Boat Dock project update. Robert Sims got a hold of the contractor, and they're working on getting the dock has been built. And they're working on, I think he said they're taking it to San Antonio to have it dipped to be galvanized, which should help with the longevity of it. The footers are being worked on at the Petro Swift shop, and they will soon install those footers, and hopefully after that it'll be a pretty quick thing. Every time I drive by that area on the weekends, there's lots of trailers and trucks, and I'm sure they're hoping that this will get done. We all know that the one-course chip seal was completed for the Animal Control Services building project, and Kerr County Road and Bridge will complete the final chip seal on the road and the parking areas when the building is completed. OpenGov program that the court approved for us in this current fiscal year. We now are in our go-live portion of the process of bringing new database storage program that was approved, like I said, in the current fiscal year. We found out, I think it was either Thursday or Friday of last week, probably a really, really good thing that we went ahead and switched over the company, and the program was already in place when I came in the office, but it's RMB IMS. We found out that the owner, and he was the founder, he had passed away. And so letters were going out to other counties that were using that same program, that there'd be limited time on that program. So I think we all kind of were glad that we had already made the switch. The fiscal year 24-25 seal coat started a month earlier than usual because of the warmer temperatures and dry conditions. We currently are in this program and will be until the last day of September of 2025. Sometimes we can shoot a little bit in October. You got to be real, real careful. There's times that we pushed it and regretted it, because if you can't get that rock to stick to that oil, it's a mess. So we always tell people pretty much we shut down on the last day of September. As of 6/9, we have completed 19.73 miles. And when Bear Creek Road is completed soon, we will have completed 28.19 miles. You have to include if it's a double, so you've got to double that on that. The contractor, J3, is done with their portion of work. We've gone in last Friday, Charlie and I drove through. Our crew was putting the finish on the surface that J3 did. If we get a chance this week, they're showing a lot of rain. We may seal coat part of the contracted portion. We got the Vertkin soil stabilizer machine that we've rented, and we'll do that other section that's closer to Arcadia Loop, and probably finish everything up on seal coat, hopefully next week is what we're shooting for. But it's been a real good project so far. I think most people have been very, very happy and receptive to what's being done. We completed the fire hydrant installation on Spur 100 to complete our new fuel tanks project. This requirement came from the city of Kerrville Fire Marshal, that we are to have a hydrant within 500 feet of the fuel tank location. That will also benefit the new animal services building too, but Road and Bridge paid for the hydrant to go in since we had to with our new tanks. The equipment auction went great. Kerr County Road and Bridge final sales number, that was our take home, is $300,701.24. The total for the auction was $362 and $2.50. take home is that $300,701.24. We do have some things that we'd like to use some of that money for. Our mowing will be starting in June. We mow 2 times a year. And we've been starting in June, and we usually end in November or December. Just kind of depends how long it takes. When I work the field, we finished mowing, I think it was December 18th, and we finished at the Ingram Yard, and all I remember is I couldn't feel my face, it was so cold. But twice a year is what we do, and we should be starting that here real soon. We will be completing the 8th year on our 10-year seal coat program. Not counting this year's total number, we have completed 342.34 miles out of 466 miles. We are on track with completion with this new program in 10 years. We continue to work with KISD and J3 Construction on the installation of 2 lighted crosswalks for Chester Nemitz Elementary School on Ranchero Road. The school district is responsible for the initial costs of the 2 lighted crosswalks and also the installation of these 2 crosswalks. Once the crosswalks are completed, I will come back to Commissioners Court for approval to accept these 2 lighted crosswalks for county maintenance, and Kerr County will pay for the maintenance of the 2 locations. And I did put in our, I think it was our sign budget, 1 complete setup for repairs and that, and it will be solar powered. The graffiti at Flat Rock Dam continues. We do have some cameras up, still haven't been able to catch the folks. But we decided to give it a break on going over there and respraying a nice open canvas for whoever the artists are, but that does continue. Kerr County Road and Bridge is currently short 5 people. When we're full, we are a total of 28 people. We are currently at 23, and most of it, all of it, I should say, is in the field. Which 5, we generally work 3-man crews, so, that's almost 2 full crews that we're short. Let's see, the Bear Creek project, like I said, is nearing an end, and everything seems to be going really well on that. We replaced a lot of culvert pipes that either needed replacement, needed larger pipes or additional pipes. So that should help with some of the drainage on Bear Creek Road. Plus, it's going to be considerably wider. You can only widen it so much, but it's going to be nice. The much-needed recent rains have kept us busy with downed trees and drainage, clearing out the drainage. We've had some of our crews called out in the middle of the night for trees that have fallen. We have some drainage issues on Stoneley Road and Redbird Loop and Center Point that we are currently working with HCTC with their fiber optic project. A contractor that they hired decided, I think on their own, that it would be easier just to install the stuff in the drainage ditch and cut a trench in the middle of our drainage. And now all the erosion, we're down to the rock. So we've been working with HCTC, and we're doing some concrete and some rock that they are paying for. But it has been a real problem. We've been working on this now for, gosh, I bet you 8 months, close to a year. Once you start messing with that stuff, you start to have problems with erosion. So, we will be meeting with TxDOT regarding the reconstruction of Crossing Street Bridge and Center Point and Ehlers Road Bridge that are upcoming projects under the Off-System Bridge Program. This federal program is a great program, and it works in the way that the federal government picks up 80% of the total cost of the bridge reconstruction. The state, TxDOT, pays 10%, and Kerr County pays 10%. So it's a way that you can afford to have your bridges reconstructed. Most counties couldn't afford to rebuild one of them. They're in the millions when they rebuild them. So it really is a great program. I think TxDOT got a little behind because Crossing Street and Center Point Nailers Bridge were supposed to be let January of 2025, and now they're gonna be let 2027. But I'm glad that these projects are gonna go through. We've already paid our 10% quite a few years ago, so the court does not have to worry about the cost in that. As you can see that this makes these infrastructure programs very affordable for counties to keep their bridges in great shape. I get a thing every year from one of the magazines, one of the many magazines that I get sent. They do a poster every year, a pull-out poster, and it's kind of neat. You look and it tells you how many actual bridges in each state that they have, and then they rate them. And Texas's rating really actually is pretty impressive compared to a lot of other states. There are some states that are ahead of us, but we have a lot of structures within this state. The state does engineering studies on each of the bridges in Kerr County. Every 2 years, they hire a contractor, so it's not actually TxDOT employees. And most years, you get a different contractor every 2 years. But it's nice, they come in, they give you a report, they rate the bridges. You start to kind of watch as that number gets lower and lower. There are things that they recommend that we can do, that we go in and do, and it might be missing some markers and things like that. But you can kind of tell when it's probably not far away from getting ready to be put on that list for rebuild. And a lot of times they'll weight limit the bridge as it's getting more and more, where they don't want a lot of weight on it. But it's a great program. The county is given, we get a big report every 2 years. They usually send it to Jody, to the judge's office. We work with engineering on this. Our guys go out and do the things that we can do. We photograph all of that. Charlie then sends all of that information in. There's some information that I think that the judge looks over. But it's a great program, and we have 2 bridges that are gonna be up for reconstruction in 2027. A lot of you may not know, but Kerr County has 20 bridges that qualify under the off-system bridge program. And what makes it qualify is the amount of flow up underneath that bridge. So you've gotta have at least 20 foot of flow. So if you have 4 5-foot pipes, you'd have your 20 foot. But if you have them spaced way out, and you've got, in the middle, you've got concrete, and you don't have 20 foot, it doesn't, it won't go under the program. And TxDOT has to approve when you submit. And so Brink Crossing, in Center Point, on Center Point River Road, you know, you look at that when you come up to it, it's got a lot of concrete, and it looks really, really long. If you measure and you count the pipes, we don't have 20 foot, so it doesn't qualify. So if that structure ever goes out, Kerr County will be responsible for 100% of it. If we ever have to do any work, Charlie and I have talked about it, we would try to figure out how we can get at least 20 foot in there and get it on the system to help. But in each precinct, Precinct 1 does not have any bridges under this system. Precinct 2 has 5, Precinct 3 has 6, Precinct 4 has 8. Precinct 2, the locations, one of them is Center Point Drive, Crossing Street, Elm Pass Road, Riverside Drive, and Witt Road. Precinct 3, Cypress Creek Road, Ehlers Road, Herman Sons Road, Homelius Lane, Lane Valley Road, and Lazy Valley Road. Precinct 4, Arrowhead Road, Cade Loop, Creek Ridge Trail, Fall Branch Road, Hoot Owl Hollow, Indian Creek Road, Moe Ranch, and a new one that got added about a year or 2 ago is Paloma Ranch Road. And that was a new development. And when we went out there, first we're talking about what we thought was gonna need to be done. We knew we were gonna have a pretty significant area for drainage. And we all said, to, I think it was Yansky that was building it for him. We told them, make sure those concrete boxes are over 20 feet, and they did. So Bobby got that put on the program, which will be, you know, of great help. I thought something was kind of interesting. Since I've been here and working for Road and Bridge, not necessarily in the office, I started out in the field for the first 6 years. We've had 10 structures rebuilt since 2002. 9 are left, and I did say 20, and it actually is 19, I'm sorry. But of those 9, I thought this was very interesting. In the report they give when they were rebuilt, and of the 9, they go from anywhere from 1920 to 2001. So who says a long time ago they didn't build good structures? Because we've got some that are really old, and actually some of them have scored really well.
Sure.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting to see that. And I think that's all I've got. So if anybody has any questions, I
Any
can
questions?
answer them for you.
Very good, as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
3.2, status reports from elected officials. Okay. 3.3, status reports from liaison commissioners.
All my liaisons meetings went great. UGRA, meeting with the individuals, different departments and stuff, and I'm really enjoying getting to know and learn more and more about how they approach things, and that's where you do it, so.
Nothing?
Nothing additional.
Okay, and we have executive session?
No, sir.
No?
We took
Oh.
care of that in open session.
I thought so,
Okay,
yeah.
good, I was hoping so. So there being no executive session, and no further business before the court, we are adjourned.